Happy Friday to you and to our good friends. Happy Passover here in the holy time of the year. Hope all are well. 13 days until the National Football League's draft. How you doing here on this Football Friday? Absolutely awesome. By the way, I want to show you the power of the Big Sill Show here. Check it out. We got Morgan and Morgan here. How you doing? Got my gear. Got my bucks. This thing's at my front doorstep. Look at this thing here, man. Not bad, huh? I looked it up. $250 million in advertising these folks spent. And they're right here on the Big Sill Show. How you doing? And that has a lot to do with you guys, and we appreciate it because you have many options out there now. Like I told you before, my dog Stevie could start a YouTube channel, and here you guys are each and every single day. So we appreciate that. Absolutely great. Please hit the like button. 13 days again, like I said, until the NFL draft. Masters this weekend and going on now, obviously Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Championship Sunday. My two favorite moments at the Augusta National have to be the 86 Masters with Nicklaus winning and Tiger's first one when he had like 25 shares. And the entire country was watching when Tiger was walking up 18 and there his dad was truly one of the great scenes at Augusta National. If you've ever been there, it's amazing. I've never played it, but I've been there. Get this, and Xander knows this right now. You have to wear golf shoes, like on the course. If you even want to just walk around, you have to wear golf shoes. They won't let you. You have to understand something about Bobby Jones when he bought that thing. It was initially a nursery back in the day, and they carved out a golf course out of it. And that's why you see the azaleas and all that. It's really a great scene. It's one of the great scenes in all of sports. So I totally dig it, man. I really appreciate it. And I liked that event, and I watched that event. All right. So who's this wide receiver you guys signed? Let me get this list of misfit toys that the Philadelphia Eagles have signed. I want to get this here. Okay? Aziz Ajulara, second round bust. Kenyon Green, first round bust. Adoree Jackson, first round bust. These are people the Eagles have signed. Harrison Bryant. Who? How you doing? Joshua Uche Kuchi U. Second round bust. Terrence Mathis. Is that his name? Terrence Mathis. This guy had really great upside, but he was in a shitty situation because he was in Carolina, and when they moved him to the Raiders, he sucked worse. But now all of a sudden, he's a legendary Eagle. Fly, Eagle, fly. How you doing? Come on now, man. Look at these stiffs. I mean, when are you going to sign anybody? Where did you get better? Look at this thing here, man. This is like the island of stiffs. I mean, holy shit. And you know what I love? I love how Xander tries to make chicken shit into chicken soup. I think this guy, Emmanuel Uche Ache, I think he's going to be like, maybe not Zach Bond. He's not the only guy. Tune on any station in Philly. I think Adoree Jackson could turn out to be the next, I don't know, Darius Slay. Holy shit, you guys have retooled with junkyard parts. Best Sills, I love this. Thank you, Jason. Big Sills, best show on the channel on YouTube. If you could choose between a Hall of Fame career with no Super Bowls or at least win 2 championships with no Hall of Fame, but some Pro Bowls, which one would you choose? This is one of the topics that I used to bring up all the time. Would you rather have a Hall of Fame ring or would you rather have a championship ring? What do you think is more exclusive, Jason? I'll ask you. There's only 320 men that have ever been enshrined in Pro Football's Hall of Fame. There's hundreds of guys who have won Super Bowl rings. Kenny Pickett has one. Kenny Pickett. Tanner McKee. They have rings. I'd rather have a Hall of Fame ring. Being considered one of the greatest players in the history of the sport. Now, again, if you're talking to me about an individual sport, I'd rather have a championship belt. If you're talking about me being in a team sport, the Super Bowl ring is a team achievement. It's not a player achievement. Okay, it's a collective group of dudes. Bryce Huff has a Super Bowl championship ring in Philadelphia, and Reggie White doesn't. Oh, but Bryce Huff, I'd rather have Bryce Huff's ring instead of Reggie's Hall of Fame ring. I know Reggie got one in Green Bay. That's a stupid argument. Who's more revered? Bryce H.R. Puffin stuff or Reggie White? Come on now. I mean, what are you, nuts? It's a good question, though, Jace. I mean, team sport versus a guy having a Hall of Fame career, there is no conversation to that. Who in their right mind would go, hey, I'll be one of the 53 guys, even though I'm not a starter? Tyler Steen has one, and John Hanna doesn't. Tyler Steen's got it. I'd rather have Tyler Steen's Super Bowl championship ring than John Hanna, the greatest guard in the history of the sport. I'd rather have the Super Bowl ring than John Hanna's Hall of Fame ring. What a dumbass comment. I'm not saying you, Jace. It's a stupid take. You're in a team sport. We're not talking about tennis, golf, boxing, track and field. When you win a gold medal, you're the fastest man on the planet. That's why Super Bowl rings, when it comes to evaluating one's career, what kind of team were you on? That's why you guys want to do this. Because Jalen Hurts won a Super Bowl, you think he's better than the guy in Buffalo, and he's not. He's not. Oh, but wait, he's got a ring. He's got a Super Bowl MVP. So does Joe Flacco. I wouldn't look at Joe Flacco and go, I don't know. By the way, there are things on Joe Flacco's resume that Jalen Hurts will never do in his entire career. Ever. Ever. That doesn't mean you're a Hall of Fame guy. Hit the like button, guys. Supers go to the top. Team sport. Okay? You know what made Brady's achievement even greater? He went to a different place, carried that ideology he had in New England, brought it to the Buccaneers, and delivered a championship. That's who Brady is. Get this. Wayne the Pain. The guy in Buffalo's on a worse team. Pure and simple. Facts. Don't tell that to Eagle guy. What do you mean, Sills? Jalen's my guy. I know, it's like talking about somebody's girlfriend. I mean, honestly, you guys are nuts, man. Have a Hall of Fame career in a team sport. So what do you think is greater for a player's accomplishment? What's a tougher accomplishment? Winning a Super Bowl in a team environment or being a Hall of Famer? Being a Hall of Famer is tougher. There's hundreds of guys, 53 dudes, more, like 65 to 70 people won a Super Bowl ring February 9th. Okay? They won a Super Bowl ring on February 9th. You know how many guys are going to the Hall of Fame? 5. Come on now. How you doing? Get this. How come Josh Allen and the Bills can't beat the Chiefs? The Chiefs have a better coach, better general manager, better organization. How you doing? That's why, senor. You answer your own pathetic question. This guy already with an L out of the gate. Come on now, kid. Answer your own questions. Look at what he posts here. Senorita posted, how come Josh Allen can't beat the Chiefs? Because they don't have a better team. How hard is that? Let's see L2 here by Senorita. I thought the Eagles didn't have a good coach. Didn't have an elite quarterback. You don't have an elite quarterback. You don't have an elite quarterback. You have a very good one. By the way, that same team on February 9th, you guys took that team, catch the greatest team, one of the greatest rosters I've ever seen, the perfect team, and you cashed it in IKEA. I mean, hey, you know, one thing I learned about IKEA, I've got to carry boxes and my wife has to put the shit together. That's what IKEA is. That's exactly what Vic Fangio and Kevin Patullo have to do this year. They have to carry the shit in, spare parts, then they have to put it together. That's exactly what you have to do when you're talking about the offseason so far of the Eagles. You guys went shopping at Marshall's. Hey, let me take that guy. What's that? What's that off the fifth rack over there? Oh, that's a Dory Jackson. Who's this other stiff? Harrison. I love the people talking about Harrison Bryant now, like he's the next coming of like Zach Ertz. Oh, God. Or Kenyon Green is like he's like the next Landon Dickerson. Holy shit. You got to be kidding me. Yeah, that's right. This is what's happened to the Eagles. I hate to say this and break this to you. Trump's tariffs are starting to take its toll on the team because, you know, the prices that you used to ship and get something in return, you're not quite getting that now. You got to buy American. Yeah. You got to buy American. What do you mean I can't get one of those great Samsung phones? No, because the price is now $3,600. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm just going to buy American. I get one of them cheap ass guys off the rack. Holy cow. Sills, what do you think about the new Marshall signing? Terrence Mathis. Okay. It was that kid at LSU. Holy shit. That kid was at LSU, and I don't remember him. I don't remember that guy. He was on that really famous LSU team. Like 65 guys ended up getting drafted. I think he was recruited by Ed Ogeron. All I remember is, hey, okay, I mean, sure, yeah, nice sign. Yeah, what do you want me to say? How about this? I don't know. What do you think of Terrence Mathis sign? I don't know. I mean, you know what it's like? You know how you drive by neighborhoods and you see people that say free, like a couch or table? That's what Howie's doing. Howie's driving by every single NFL team, and they got like a Terrence Mathis out there in the front lawn that says, take it, it's free. That's what they got. Ain't our fault poverty franchises can't build teams. Absolutely not. That's not the point. I've told you this before. There are haves and have-nots. The Eagles are haves. They've got a great franchise. Get this. I got to tell you, man, something that's pretty wild about John McMullen. John McMullen said that he would rather have 4 straight AFC championships than a Super Bowl championship. I agree with him on one point. What Buffalo did was harder than winning a Super Bowl, going to 4. Okay? But Buffalo will always be considered an underachieving team. Remember what I told you, what you did on February 9th. You know what you did on February 9th? You validated everything you've been doing the last 10 years. 8 years, really. 2 Super Bowls, 4 appearances. It's crazy great. 3 appearances, 2 wins. It's crazy great. Constantly in the playoffs. Under the Hurts era, you're 6-2. Come on now. Fantastic. They validated everything. I would make the comment in the last 10 years, who's the best franchise in the NFL? It's the Chiefs. Stop dismissing the Chiefs. They've been to 5 of them in the last 7 years. What are you talking about? What have you accomplished more than the Chiefs in the last 8 years? Nothing. 0 compared to them. You're probably the second. It's not awful. Baltimore's in there. Rams, they're in there. Green Bay a little. I mean, Green Bay a little bit. I think Green Bay as a franchise underachieves. How about this? Wouldn't you agree? You've had 2 quarterbacks in 30 years, and you won 2 Super Bowls in those 30 years. I don't know about you. To me, that's underachieving. Peyton Manning winning 1 Super Bowl in Indianapolis for his 10-plus years, underachieving. Okay? Get this. Once again, here is another L. 3 versus 2. Use math, kid. 5 appearances versus 3. Use the math, kid. The Chiefs have been to 3 straight Super Bowls. 3. You were annihilated by the Bucs the year before you won it. Annihilated in a playoff game. The Chiefs have been to 3 straight Super Bowls. Get over yourself. You can say whatever you want. Untrue. How you doing? Yeah. Oh, my God. Hey, you're going to have to help me out here. So, what up, Twiz? So, help me out here on this. Let's see here, man. Got to make sure. Hey, so help me out here. So, Aziz Adore, Ajara Ajorira. Who's this guy? Oh, that's the second rounder. Is that the kid from New York? Zizi Ajuda Ri'ala. Predala. Yeah. OLB. All right. Hey, he might get something out of him. Okay. Adoree Jackson. Hey, he'll hold down Slay's role. Yeah. You think Adoree Jackson's going to hold Slay's role down? Wow. Holy shit. Joshua Uche Cooch, second rounder. Who are you guys? Torrance Mathis now is added to the mix. Holy shit. What are you going for here? To build the greatest scout team? Your practice squad? There's some practice squad names. I mean, yeah. Okay. You brag about the Bucs. What have they done? Kicked your ass. 2 in a row, baby. That's what they've done. In case you're keeping score, Angelo, Baker Mayfield's got a winning record versus you, and so does Todd Bowles. Handpicked. The Bucs have, by the way, it looked like you played Todd Bowles' defense against Kansas City in the Super Bowl. Okay? If Josh Allen had to throw the ball to Devontae Smith in the Super Bowl, would Josh have done it? I don't know what that means. Not sure what you're talking about. Dude, there's a reason he's the highest paid guy in the league now. In case you weren't looking. So what you want us to sign everyone back but lose out on the young guys. Get this. You want to tell you what's flawed with that? This guy just doesn't know what he's talking about here, CJ Davis. So you want us to sign everyone back but lose out on the young guys. Excuse me. How old was Milton Williams? He was 26 years old. The fuck are you talking about? He's a young guy. Josh Sweat is 28. And you're going to replace him with guys the same age. You don't have players on your roster right now that are as good as Josh Sweat and Milton Williams. And they were in their 20s. What do you talk? When you say that, that's not accurate. Those guys weren't 33-year-old players you move on from. They were 26 and 28-year-old players. Okay? Get this. You don't know that? I know they're better. Right now, on April 11th, they're better. I saw them 61 days ago prove it. And I saw them in the playoffs create havoc. And I saw them in the Super Bowl. I saw them in the Super Bowl not blitz once. What did you see? Guys on the bench who you're forecasting, maybe, and Junkyard Dogs. You know what I'm going to call the new Eagle defense? The Eagle Junkyard Dogs. The Junkyard Dogs. Holy shit. What do you make of that? The new name for the Philadelphia Eagle defense, the Junkyard Dogs. There you go. I got to save that. Got to put that in. Xander's got a book now. I'm going to put that in there. The Junkyard Dogs. There we go. April 11th, baby. Junkyard Dogs. Look at this guy. Yeah. Dollar Dogs. Hey, I feel like I'm over at the Phillies watching the Phillies play. Dollar Dogs. Is that the name of our new defense? Oh, no, those are the hot dogs they sell over there. By the way, I hear they're shitty at the ballpark. Somebody told me, a Phillies fan told me that the shit you served when it comes to hot dogs ain't the best. So we're going to call them the Philly hot dogs. Holy cow, man. The Dollar General defense. Woo! You remember when you said Bond was never going to be a good player? I remember what the Saints said, too, when Vic Fangio said, hey, do you think he could play inside linebacker? I don't know. Once again, nasty. How come when I say it, I echo the same shit that Vic Fangio echoes? Don't get mad at me. I'm just echoing your D coordinator. He said it. I didn't say it. I got it from Vic. Okay? I just took it from Vic Fangio. So not talking bad at all about Mahomes. I'm a fan, okay? But Mahomes Brady talk shouldn't be brought up again. Brady's the GOAT. Brady's the GOAT because Brady beat him, and he'll never have a shot to take him out again. Brady's the GOAT, dude. But again, you know what they do? Cosmo, unfortunately in our society today, idiots like Ryan Clark will make a racial deal out of this, and it'll become a racial conversation. That white boys end up only rooting for Brady, and that they're rooting against Mahomes because he's a black guy. Unfortunately, for us that really love sports, that's not really a factor. It's like being asked about Shedeur Sanders. Why are you being critical of him? Because I don't think, unlike some, I don't think he's going to be shit. I don't see it. How about this? When I watch Shedeur Sanders, I don't see special. I don't see special. When I see Cam Ward, I don't see special. I don't. I think this is the worst draft class I've ever seen for NFL quarterbacks. I'd rather, as I said to you guys yesterday, I'd rather take Will Howard. That was a cool comment by Xander in the morning there on Birds 365. I'd rather take Will Howard. And I heard John's response. Those guys have more upside. Those guys have more opportunity at failure and financially and draft equity. There's more of a risk with Dart. There's more of a risk with Jalen Milroe than with Will Howard. Always remember that. Upside, you're sure of upside. I'm not. And if you're not sure of upside, why you drafted him in the first round? And we're still champions. Elite. For about 11 more months. Still, the kid from Arkansas, Landon Jackson, was recruited by LSU and Ed Ogeron. Yeah, Ed's one of the greatest recruiters of all time, Kyle. Really was. One of the greatest recruiters of all time. Get this. Patrick Mahomes is 2 years older than Jalen Hurts, and he's hit his peak. Oh, my God. Holy shit. You guys it's Friday. Come on, man. It's holy time. Come on now. Don't start the Friday off with all these L's. Okay? I mean, don't start them off with all these L's. Only way to troll is pure pessimist. Get this. This guy thinks I contrived this shit. He wants me to blow up failures at other programs and high draft picks because it's pessimism. This guy right here is what's wrong with shit takes. He's trying to say that I'm trolling you. And in other words, he wants me to blow up Harrison Bryant, Kenyon Green, Terrence Mathis. Here, this is what he wants me to sound like. You know, these guys really, we're put in poor situations, and now they're going to be coming to the greatest organization in the National Football League, and we're going to turn this shit pile, this shit turd, into a gold mine. Because you know why? We're the Eagles. I sound like WIP or Mike Messinelli. Oh, man. Keep coming after us. Okay? Keep coming after us. One of my favorites. I've got the Big Sills Power 5. I've narrowed it down to 5 guys. And what you should do there at 32 if you don't move. And I think you're going to move. Oh, I want to start this off by this. Where would you rank Nick Sirianni right now? Where would you rank him as the top 32 head coaches heading into the 2025 season? Where would you put Nick Sirianni right now in that list? Where would you do that? Where would you put number 1, greatest coach of all time? Hold on. One. Where's his contract? 12th. Okay. 6th. Where's Nick's contract? Where's the greatest coach of all time's contract? Bro, it's April 11th. Where's the greatest coach's contract of all time? I mean, you just gave the greatest performance in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles and the NFL, the running back. You just gave him a contract extension. You just paid him. When are you going to give the greatest coach of all time When are you going to give him his contract? It's April 11th. Where are we? Be patient. It's coming. Oh, I'm not suggesting you it's not coming out there and you're going to get him a contract. They ain't going to give you what you think you're going to give him. They're going to give that guy a couple hall passes at Wawa and about $15 million. They'll put him right there, right around Mike Tomlin. That guy's not a better coach than Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh. And if you pay him more, overpaid. Overpaid. Anything you pay him north of $15 million, you are overpaying for Nick Sirianni because he doesn't have a job except, I don't know, being a cheerleader. He's the ultimate cheerleader. And by the way, here's a list from Yahoo. Who's the guy's name? Mike Finelli. Here are the top 10 head coaches in the National Football League right now, according to Dan Finelli of Yahoo Sports and a NFL Hall of Fame voter. Number 1, Andy Reid, Kansas City Chiefs. Number 2, Sean McVay, Los Angeles Rams. Number 3, John Harbaugh, Baltimore Ravens. Number 4, Mike Tomlin, Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 5, Jim Harbaugh, Los Angeles Chargers. Number 6, Sean Payton, Denver Broncos. Number 7, Kyle Shanahan, San Francisco 49ers. Number 8, Pete Carroll, Las Vegas Raiders. Number 9, Nick Sirianni, Philadelphia Eagles. Number 10, Dan Campbell, Detroit Lions. Holy shit. This guy doesn't even have that guy in the top 5. Oh, you got to be kidding me. How could you not think? How could you not think that the greatest coach of all time in Eagle history is not the best, is not one of the top coaches in the NFL? That's mind-numbing. That's mind-numbing. Holy cow. Okay? A Yahoo report. No, I'm just talking about Hall of Fame and NFL voters on how they see him. Looks like that could be more true than you know. Frank Wright, Nick is the best coach that I've ever been around. He did say that. Sills, he's an overrated cheerleader. Love you, Sills. Bad take. Okay, JD, what's his job? JD, name me 3 things he does, Nick Sirianni. The creator of the tush push. Elite. Give me a job he does. Give me a job he has as head coach. What's his job? I know what Sean McVay does. McVay designs the offense, hires the coaches, and is a play caller. Same with Jim Harbaugh, same with Kyle Shanahan, same with Andy Reid. He wins. That's not a job. What does he do? What's his job? What is the number 1 job of Nick Sirianni's? Shit, the quarterback don't even talk to him. He leads men. Yeah, where was he in 23 when the thing fell through the roof? Because he didn't have good assistant coaches around him. Tell me one job he had. Hey, guys, one job. One job he does, Nick. One job. Winning's not a job. That's a team effort. Built by Howie Roseman, and they've been winning games since 2017, with or without Nick. You can't name a job. He manages. Manages who? The assistants that Howie hired? He learned from 2023. This I agree with, actually. That I agree with. I do. I think he did learn a lot from 23. I think he's a better coach since 2023. I agree with that. Okay? I don't have he's been noted by multiple players that he, on his own, gets them clips and film to watch and improve. Wrong guy. That's Vic Fangio, guy. Vic Fangio is the one that sends clips, Zane. Get your coaches right. So wait a minute. What in the world would Nick Sirianni know about defense? He was a horrific play caller when they were 2-5. I mean, just a job. All right. I mean, hey, I didn't put this list together. Where would I have put Nick? Let me see here. Out of this top 10, where would I put Nick when it came to top 10 coaches? By the way, guys, please hit the like. Let me see. 1, 2. Who would I say? Andy Reid's the best. I disagree with Angelo. Number 2, I go McVay. You know what kills me about McMullen? He says the guy who's not 40 yet and has 4 division titles, 2 NFC championships, and a Super Bowl, and he's younger than Nick Sirianni, is an overrated coach. That's overrated. I don't know about you. How's that overrated? You've won your division half the time you've been in the league. You've won 2 NFC titles before the age of 40 and a Super Bowl. How is that overrated? This guy could coach 100 years. I mean, he's still the second youngest coach in the league. How's that overrated? 3rd, I do go John Harbaugh. 4, I'll go Tomlin. You want to hear something? All right. Just like with Jalen Hurts, I don't think you could keep Nick out of the top 5. I think that's fair. I don't think you could keep him out of the top 5. His resume speaks to it. I mean, hey, it's one thing to ask, what does he do? It's another thing to go, well, shit, look at his record. So you got to keep, just like the quarterback. The quarterback can never be out of my top 5. And as long as the head coach keeps winning, okay, hey, what's your record versus the Bucs? If you really want to do that, what's your record versus the Bucs? He's 1-3 versus Todd Bowles. 1-3. I mean, you beat him once. You beat the Bucs once. Oh, Sue goes, who cares? I don't care either what Mike's saying here. It's a stupid comment. I mean, you can't. So I would put Nick 5th. Personally, I think the most overrated name on this list is Kyle Shanahan. Who would I put 6th? I'd put Jim Harbaugh. 7th, I'll put Pete Carroll. 8, I'll put Sean Payton. I'll put Campbell. And then I'll put Kyle Shanahan. I don't think much of Kyle. Kyle Shanahan, can I tell you what I think Kyle Shanahan is? Kyle Shanahan is the Shedeur Sanders of coaching. If his last name is not, let's put this out there. If Shanahan had a different last name, would he have been fired in San Francisco by now? For the shit move, he had with the quarterback, with Trey Lance, and all the failures that he's had in the postseason, wouldn't Kyle Shanahan have been fired already? Shit, if that was Nick Sirianni, let's say this. If Nick Sirianni was the head football coach in San Francisco, and he had bombed in the postseason the same way that Kyle has, Nick could have been fired 2 years ago. But the only reason he keeps that job is because they have this wacky thing that he's a great play caller, but he blows up in the postseason. I've never seen a guy, I've never seen a guy have a sphincter muscle tighten up so bad you couldn't drive a nail through it. I mean, this dude here, people keep telling me that this guy's a great coach. Well, he ain't great in great moments. I think Nick's learned from that 22 failure and 23. I do think he's grown, like Marcus Hayes said. Oh, yeah, so Kyle Shanahan is what we call in the business, he's got like sphincter disease. It tightens up in the postseason. You can't drive a nail through it. It gets a little tight. You know what I'm saying? Pressure situations. Yeah, little pressure situations there, man. Yeah. Oh man. Oh, all right. Yeah, so here would be my top 10 coaches. Andy Reid, Sean Payton, John Harbaugh, Tomlin, Sirianni at 5, Jim Harbaugh at 6, Carroll at 7, Payton at 8, Campbell 9. And this is off this dude's list. And Kyle Shanahan at 10. I think Kyle Shanahan might be a good OC, but my head coach, I don't know. Okay? Guys, do me a favor. Please hit that like button. Give me a total on it. All right? Dude, seriously, every time the guy gets in the postseason, Kyle Shanahan. You know what the difference 61 days ago with that Eagle football team versus the 22 team? They were in uncommon and uncharted waters. I think that 22 loss helped propel them to a 24 Super Bowl /25 win. I think everything, and like I said, it validated all the shit you had done. From the 2021 season to where you are now. Okay? All that stuff got validated. The 4 straight playoff runs, 2 NFC titles, which I think is a big deal because you capped it off with a Super Bowl. Sills, there should not be a coach on that list ahead of Nick if they don't have a ring. Coach on that list with multiple rings should be ahead of Nick. Nick should be near the top with one of the one ring guys. I think the reason he's not, Bob, is because he's not a play calling head coach. And here's the difference between John Harbaugh and with Mike Tomlin. Those guys make their own hires. Every single assistant coach doesn't go through the general manager, especially in Pittsburgh. I know that. 2 friends of mine were hired by Mike Tomlin. And I'll tell you the process. This isn't the process in Philly. Here's the different process, Bob, in Pittsburgh when it comes to working for Mike Tomlin. Mike will call you personally. He will interview you personally. He will take you out. They will talk. Mike then goes to the general manager. The general manager and him talk. The GM meets him. Then they go to the Rooneys. And Dan Rooney and Mike Tomlin will go out to dinner. And after dinner, Mike Tomlin on the ride home or on the ride to the airport will make his call, whether you're going to coach or not. In Philadelphia, this is how it's done. They're going to find assistant coaches. They're going to take recommendations. And Howie and Jeffrey Lurie are going to give a loaded sheet with coaches they like. And there's going to be you've heard Nick say it. There's a lengthy interview process. There's no lengthy interview processes in Baltimore and Pittsburgh. Those guys know who they're going to hire. They've got a book of guys who they're going to go to. If Todd Monken is no longer the offensive coordinator in Baltimore, John Harbaugh's got a list of guys he's going to go to. Same as a D coordinator. Steve Biscotti will be informed of what John's decisions are. But Eric DeCosta does not hire the assistant coaches. There lies the difference. Vic Fangio's not. How many people in here think that Vic Fangio was a Nick Sirianni hire? How many people think that? If you do, you're dumb. If you do, you're dumb. How many people think Kellen Moore was the Nick Sirianni hire, having never worked with him ever? Not happening. He had no interaction with Kellen Moore anywhere. There wasn't even a relationship. Nothing. Okay? Kyle Shanahan, he hires his own guys. John Lynch has a name of dudes. Remember something, Lynch is different. Lynch is a Hall of Fame player. He knows a ton of people. So there's probably a collaboration. Plus the dad, Mike Shanahan's involved in that shit. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Don't forget. Today, Jason Cole, we'll talk to him as we always do on Friday. That'll be at 4:30. Xander's going to join us at 3:30. Sills, I agree, but Harbaugh and Tomlin don't work for Howie and Lurie. Are you under the impression that the Steeler organization and the Baltimore Raven organization is a better organization? They've got just as many Super Bowl wins since 2000 that you do. I mean, Pittsburgh, I can't remember the last time they had a losing year. They're going through transition at quarterback, and they've got 6 Super Bowl titles. I mean, the Eagles have been good for 25 years. The Steelers have been good for 60. 60. Every coach in Pittsburgh since January 17th. Here, let me lay this out for you. Every coach since January 17th, 1969, has been a Hall of Fame coach in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Every one. And there's only been 3. It's like it's like when you get a job in Pittsburgh, it's like a Supreme Court justice job. You're there until you retire. You don't get fired in Pittsburgh. There's no firings. Nobody is fired ever as the head coach in Pittsburgh. There hasn't been a head coaching fire in Pittsburgh since Neil Armstrong was on the moon and the Jets had Joe Namath quarterback. That's how much success they have had. Okay? And they've all won Super Bowls. There's a difference. So when you say Pittsburgh is one of the gold standards in organizational evaluation and player development. They have been for 60 years. The only problem that I have in Pittsburgh is that their transition plan from Roethlisberger was not very good. And that's why they've wobbled. They have absolutely wobbled because of that transition. Okay? So, I mean, people are going, well, the best franchise since 2000 has been the Eagles. Not true. It's been the Chiefs. Even prior to Mahomes showing up, they won ball games. Mahomes clearly is a difference maker. Remember something. That place has 4 Super Bowl rings. Hey, and here's the one thing you got to remember, too. I heard John McMullen say this, that the Patriots are not a good organization after Brady. Well, let's take a look at that. True. Belichick took him to 9. When Bob Kraft bought the team from Victor Kiam and wanted to move the team to Connecticut, Bob Kraft started buying land up around Sullivan Stadium. Knocked it down, now it's Gillette. Let's not forget something. They ended up going to a Super Bowl with Parcells as the head coach. And they were building a winning formula. Let me give you a little bit of perspective here prior to these last 2 coaches. Here's who Bob Kraft hired. Okay? Prior to Belichick. Parcells and also Pete Carroll. Both are going to the Hall of Fame. Belichick and Carroll. Parcells is in. There were 3 Hall of Fame coaches that Bob Kraft hired to run his franchise. So before you start saying, true, the Sullivans were not very good owners back in the days of the Steve Grogan era, and they weren't good. But since the late 90s, when Bob Kraft has owned that team, they have been an absolutely great organization. They've stumbled. Hey, by the way, to go with what John said about the Patriots not being very good, well, fuck, they were good for 21 years. You don't think 3 or 4 years of a downtime and retooling your organization, both upstairs and downstairs, you didn't think you were going to go through a transition? It was going to be seamless? I'll tell you what. This is what I would tell people in Philly. I'll take 4 shitty years of football for 6 Super Bowls. Wouldn't you? It's a dumb take. Oh, wait a minute. No, you're not very good in the last 4 years. Well, shit, dude. You were great for 3 decades. Eventually, you're going to have to restock and retool. You wouldn't take 4 years of shitty shit. You may take a step back this year on your defensive football team. And you're sitting there telling me you wouldn't take 4 years of bad ball for 6 Super Bowl titles. How stupid are you? Sills, I agree, but Harbaugh and Tomlin don't work. I know. Does Sills really think the Patriots will ever be good again? I do, because of ownership. I absolutely do. I think Mike Vrabel's a hell of a coach. I absolutely do. Hey, to sit there and think that Bob Kraft, who has had massive success since I'll tell you what, you tell me who's a better owner, Bob Kraft or Jeffrey Lurie? Who's a better owner? Who's been a better owner over the last 30 years? Jeffrey Lurie or Bob Kraft? Who's been a better owner? Who has been a better owner? Bob Kraft, who's got 7 AFC championship rings and 6 Super Bowls. Who's been a better owner? Who's won more? Are you really thinking that Jeffrey Lurie has been a better owner than Bob Kraft? Where? 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 By the way, tell me if you think this was a ballsy move by the owner, Bob Kraft. Tell me if you think this is a ballsy move. You signed Drew Bledsoe to a $117 million deal. Your head football coach, who has very little experience outside of being an assistant coach in New York with Parcells, comes to you and says, you know, that Bledsoe deal, I got a kid in the 6th round. You know that $18 million signing bonus you gave him? We're going to have to eat that. We're going to start the 6th rounder. What does Bob Kraft do? Bob Kraft goes, you want to start a 6th rounder over the number 1 overall pick in the draft and the highest paid player in the league. Yeah. Yes. Well, he's had multiple coaches too with success. I just laid it out, Twiz. Well, okay, we'll go with the 6th rounder who's making $600,000 versus a guy making $18 million. I guess Brady gets hurt. They put Bledsoe back in the AFC title game. Bledsoe wins that game. He goes back to the owner. Hey, I'm pulling him. I'm putting Brady back in. Really? Yeah. Then, the following year, hey, Bob Kraft, I want to trade him to the Bills in our division. Yeah. Okay. Bob Kraft has made some pretty interesting decisions, not knowing what the outcome was going to be. So all that shit you say about Brady, true. But decisions were made by that owner could have derailed that at any moment. The AFC title game, they could have kept Bledsoe in. You would have never known about Tom Brady if it wasn't for Kraft and Belichick. They turn around the following year and trade him into the division. That's foresight. That's what makes great owners. You had the foresight, this kid's going to be it. And remember something, the Patriots passed on him 5 times too. You got to have a great owner. And by the way, I'm not suggesting you Lurie's not. But the resume doesn't add up. I heard John say that they're the best since 2000. That's not true. Kraft has been at the forefront of the league, the TV deal. There's 4 dudes on the television committee. 4 dudes. He's one of them. And he's built a championship football team. The guy in Kansas City, Clark Hunt, has done a pretty decent job taking over for his dad, Lamar Hunt. Now, he's not Lamar Hunt. And he's benefited from Reed and Mahomes, no question. But people were telling John Dorsey, don't draft Patrick Mahomes. Deshaun Watson will win more football games and Mitchell Trubisky will win more football games than what Patrick Mahomes will do. They were telling him that. The owner goes with Andy, no, we're going to sign this kid Mahomes out of Texas Tech, the mecca of quarterbacks. You've got to have ownership. Again, where would I rank Jeffrey Lurie in the last 25 years? He's right up there. Top 3 for sure. Is he better than Green Bay? Absolutely better than Green Bay. Green Bay underachieves. Is he better than San Francisco? San Francisco's not the same ownership group. You don't have Bill Walsh and Eddie DeBartolo running that franchise with Carmen Policy and John McVay. You know the one thing that lets down the 49ers in this era compared to the era of 5 Super Bowls? Hey, Niner all day. I know you're in here. You don't have a coach like Bill Walsh. You don't have a personnel guy like John McVay and Carmen Policy. And you don't have an owner like Eddie DeBartolo. Denise DeBartolo York and John York or Jed York, that's not cutting it. That's just not cutting it. I give this to the Bucks with the Glazers. The Glazers and I have butted heads, but they've always seemingly put the right guy in the right position to be a head coach. Tony Dungy, John Gruden. Where they failed was putting a guy like Greg Schiano. They've had bombs. Even Raheem Morris, who was too young for the job. They had the right intention. He's the head coach down in Atlanta, and I'm hoping he succeeds because I think he's a brilliant guy. They went to Bruce Arians. Then they went, obviously, I think Todd Bowles a hell of a coach. Get this. They hadn't won until Brady got there. They developed him. They drafted him. They paid him. They built the team around him. Same thing they did for Jalen Hurts. I don't remember Tom Brady with sensational years in his first 10. I remember a great defense. That's asinine. Without the Patriots, Tom Brady's a nobody. I laid out to you his path to success. At any moment, that would have been derailed if it wasn't for the insight of Belichick and the owner. Stupid. It's a stupid comment. Name me a coach and a quarterback in NFL history that are not tied together with a great owner. Name me one. There is only one. It's Joe Gibbs. Every other quarterback that you consider great is tied into a great head coach and a great owner. Montana, DeBartolo, Walsh, Brady, Kraft, Belichick, Aikman, Jones, Jimmy. Come on. Don't be stupid. Thank you, Jeff DeBone. Appreciate it. I mean, this is a great take. What would Mahomes be without Reed and Spagnuolo? We don't know. He would be awful good. Let me tell you something, too. Observer. Let me ask you, because you can't ask some of the Eagle fans this shit. What do you think Josh Allen would look like in Kansas City if he had Spagnuolo, Andy Reid, and the organization the way that they built that team? What do you think they would have done if he had that kind of ownership, that kind of leadership, and that kind of coaching? What do you think he would have done? Simple. You can't win. Name me a guy who won a Super Bowl without a great organ. Even Joe Flacco. John Harbaugh. And Steve Biscotti's been a fabulous owner. The guy in Baltimore. He's a fabulous owner. Okay? Fabulous. Just sensational. Here, the great owner. If I had to rank owners, Kraft, I really like Stan Kroenke. Kroenke owns the Nuggets, the Avalanche. I think he owns a soccer team. And, of course, he owns the Rams. He's been a great owner. But do I think he's better than Jeffrey Lurie? No. I got Kraft. Here, do I think Jeffrey Lurie is a better owner than Jerry Jones. Let me write down the owners first. The Rooneys. John Maher's fallen far from Jerry Jones, Jeffrey Lurie, Stan Kroenke, Arthur Blank, no. Green Bay doesn't have one. Ziggy Wolf, no. The McCaskey stink. Houston's not good. Kansas City, Clark Hunt. I do not believe the Yorks are that great owner. I'll put them there, though. So if I had to put my 5, since 2000 or mid-90s, sure. Kraft, the resumes. I would put Jeffrey Lurie second. I would put Jeffrey Lurie second. I would. I think he's a better owner than Jerry Jones. Jerry's a better businessman. Jeffrey Lurie's a better all-around owner. They've enhanced the brand, got a new stadium built. They win more. They succeed more. They win with multiple coaches in the most important times of the year, which is the postseason. Their hiring of head coaches is insane success. I would put him second. I would put him above Clark Hunt, above John Rooney, or John Mara. I would put him ahead of Dan Jr. Rooney. I would. I would make the argument that Stan Kroenke's probably third. Bidwell stinks. That's pretty impressive. Jeffrey Lurie's the second best owner in the NFL right now. And it shows. It totally shows. Cleveland, Jimmy Haslam, he's horrible. I mean, you want to know how not to run? Woody Johnson with the Jets is terrible. We'll see what the Pagulas do. They got a brand new stadium built in Buffalo. They got to win in the postseason. Oh, Steve Biscotti's probably third. Top 3 owners in the NFL right now: Bob Kraft, Jeffrey Lurie, and Steve Biscotti in Baltimore. I'd put those 3 guys in there. Both Manning brothers won in terrible organizations. That's a great... No, the Bolins were not terrible. Irsay is. But he did have one dynamic in the building here. Remember, Abe, he had Tony Dungy and Bill Polian, both Hall of Fame guys. I agree the owner wasn't really the guy, Jim Irsay. That's probably why they didn't win multiple, was because Irsay got in the way. But the 2 guys above Manning, and remember, Tom Moore, the offensive coordinator, was kept in place after Jim Moore Sr. was fired. They didn't. One of the only ramifications out of that whole Jim Moore firing, if you remember correctly, was when Dungy took the job, he couldn't fire Tom Moore, who's down with, by the way, who's down with the Bucs now. And he's been down there for about 5 years. 5, 6 years maybe. That was Manning's OC for like 12, 13 years. So they had to keep that guy intact, and Tony kept him intact. But I always thought they underachieved, probably because of the owner, but they had a general manager who knew what he was doing, and they had a head football coach who knew what he was doing. So They had the quarterback, the coach, the GM, but the owner was just, again, I have no respect for Jim Irsay. The Lions owner is the daughter. And actually, I think she's actually doing a pretty decent job. Since the husband died, I forget, Virginia? No, that was McCaskey. I'm trying to think of the owner's name up in Detroit. The daughter runs it now, and she's done a whale of a job. She put Brad Holmes in charge. She fired everybody in the building. They got a brand new culture in there. They brought in Barry Sanders and Chris Spielman. They got a pretty good front office. They hired Dan Campbell. She's done a pretty nice job up there, not running the football team like Ford Motor Company. She's done a really nice job running the Lions. She's putting football people in charge there. So she's doing a nice job. She's not in the top three, though. Top three owners in the National Football League: Bob Kraft, Jeffrey Lurie, and Steve Biscotti. All multiple championship owners. You know, the one thing I dig about Steve Biscotti, after that whole Ray Rice stuff, you know, Ray Rice is still a consultant for the Baltimore Ravens. And Ray Rice goes around talking in symposiums, offered him numerous times to come back and play. You know what Ray Rice said after that unfortunate video of him smashing his fiance then, they've got like 3 kids now. They've been married for 2 decades now. And they are a pillar in the Baltimore community. He goes around talking about making mistakes. And Ray Rice was offered numerous times to come back. He goes, I got to work on being a better man and being a better husband. And that's what always people in the league respect Ray Rice for. Steve Biscotti never turned his back on him. He knew he made an ultimate mistake. Can't put your hands on chicks. That's a no-no for me, too. He goes, I don't have the right to play. Ray Rice said this to Steve Biscotti. I don't have a right to play football anymore. That's why he works for the Ravens. Because he had a priority. That's ownership. Right and wrong. Knowing that there's a good man behind mistakes. That's why I really love Baltimore. It all starts with Ozzie Newsome. And Eric DeCosta took over. And they're such a well-run, just a well-run place. It's a great ownership. That's a place you want to go play. Just tremendous. I mean, Ozzie Newsome is a Hall of Fame GM, and he's a Hall of Fame player. He is a Hall of Fame player. And he was a great, tremendous general manager. Howie's an egotist. So we're going to go as far as he can get us. So far, he's doing what the cap limits him to do. I don't know if it's limits. And by the way, I want Howie Roseman to have an ego. The better the ego, the more chances he'll take. He's a calculated opportunist. Is that fair? Howie Roseman is a calculated opportunist. Do you think? She is smoking. I will give you that, my friend. Yes, sir. I mean, I like my general manager to be a calculated opportunist. And that's what he is. It's calculated. He sees the opportunity. He looks at the end game. What are the positives? What are the negatives in this deal? Let's do this. What do you think he looked at with Jaylen Carter? Let's do the Jaylen Carter wins and losses. Start with him. Great talent. Pluses and minuses. This is what I mean by a calculated opportunist. Played at a great program. Great program. Great conference. Teammates love him. Coaches love him. Was a pretty good student. Good with others. Got to have that if you're going to be a good teammate in the locker room. What's the negatives? He's young. The car accident. What else? So we got 2 things versus 10 things that says the player made a mistake. Calculated opportunist. Saw him at 9, weighed the pluses and minuses out. Temper? Me? That's football. Temper's not a negative. Temper's an asset. If coached right and harnessed. That's not a negative. I need that. I'm not coaching that out of him. The one thing I'll never do to Jaylen Carter is coach the negative out of him, the temper. I want to control it. And they've done a great job of it. Calculated opportunist. Too many good things versus, hey, albeit car accident, death. Let me get Big Dom on this. He's sitting at 9. The Eagles didn't pause. The Bears did. That's why the Bears are who they are and why the Eagles are who they are. Plain and simple. The Bears passing on Jaylen Carter tells you who they are. They're afraid to make calculated gambles. They are not calculated opportunists. They look at the shiny lure and they go for it. They're not a smart fish. They're gullible. You know how many people in the draft in 13 days are gullible? They'll do what a lot of people will say. Hey, by the way, anybody talking about Shedeur Sanders and they bring up Deion, I automatically have a problem with that evaluation. Deion doesn't come with this thing. He's not part of this at all. Well, he's his kid. Okay, how does that help him on Sundays? Well, he grew up in... I saw Chris Sims grow up in it too. Okay? Knowing what to expect, okay? You know, you could turn that around and go, that guy's had everything handed to him in his entire life. What does he work for? What has Shedeur Sanders ever had to work for? Jaden Daniels had to work after he left Arizona State. Jalen Hurts had to work after he was fired at Alabama. Tom Brady had to work. Not for people to look at him as a 6th-round draft choice. Brock Purdy had to work for his opportunity. The one thing you get with a lot of these first-rounders, they get paved the yellow brick road. You know what failed Carson Wentz? When things weren't given to him anymore. And he had to go to work for it. He couldn't work for it. North Dakota State is a prime. You know what I say about him going to North Dakota State? That's a red flag. If you're so gifted, it's one thing to get one recruiting offer, like Josh Allen of Wyoming. You know what Josh Allen did? Josh Allen had to work for it. One recruiting scholarship. He sent 350 resumes out to coaches across the country. No one wanted to offer him a scholarship except one place, Wyoming. That's it. I love guys like Dak Prescott, 4th-round pick. Dan Mullen, when he was at Mississippi State, and Brian Johnson was there, when they were down there together, they gave him the last invitation to go to the Mississippi State camp. Kid was okay. Dan Mullen saw, he's like, I don't know. Came back the next year because he had worked at it. Dan Mullen went, holy shit. Offered him a scholarship. Took Mississippi State to number 1 ranking in the country. Quinyon Mitchell is a great story. See, I like these stories in the draft. I think it tells me a lot about a player. I've told you this before about him. Quinyon Mitchell's a dude, had no grades. They're in Wellington, I think it is, Florida. 30 minutes to Gainesville. Dreamed growing up to be a Gator. Gators never knocked on the door. No knocks from the Gators. Looked at his resume, looked at his transcripts. You can't play here. Didn't even recruit him. One place recruits him, Toledo. Kid goes on, doesn't even play. They save a scholarship for him. Gets his grades up. Felt loyal to them for what they did by believing in him. And they end up giving him. After that, every program from Alabama to USC offered that kid money and nailed to come play. Millions of dollars. No way. Money wasn't going to sway his loyalty. That says a lot to me about a kid. Hey, Florida, you had your shot to believe in me. You didn't want to. Sills, most people don't realize that Miami, Ohio was the only school that offered Roethlisberger to play. That's right. Or how about this one? Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was at NC State. And brand new head coach comes in there, promises the starting job to Mike Glennon. Russell Wilson had been a starter for 3 years at NC State. No, I'm sorry. We're giving the job. You're going to have to transfer. Has to transfer to Wisconsin. What does he do? Puts the team on his back and carries him to a Rose Bowl. I mean, I like those stories. Tells me a lot about a kid. I'll tell you this about Jaylen Carter. I've had these conversations with Clint Hurt. You tell that kid. You tell that kid that if you want to be on your back in a car accident, losing your life, and having a chance to fulfill your destiny, you'll understand who you are. Clint told him that. I told him to tell him that. That jersey up there hangs for a reason. Lost opportunity. The loss of greatness. is that jersey 99. You know what that jersey means to me? Number 99, Jerome Brown. You lost destiny, opportunity, tragedy. The world's not a better place without Jerome Brown in it. It's not. Guy's one of the best people I've ever been around and associated with. There are too many things in my life and too many people. Len Bias, another friend of mine, lost opportunity. You know what Reggie White told me years ago? You know what his biggest failure was? Not saving Jerome. I said, that was a pretty tough one there because I'm not sure anybody could have saved Jerome. It's not how he lived his life. That guy did not live his life like that. There was nothing with roadblock there with that guy. Nothing. I mean, I told Clint Hurt that. You tell Jaylen Carter, because he wears 98. Jerome wore that at Miami. We see so much in him. I've got to do this. I got to show you guys something cool. You guys see the name? Damn, I don't want to show you. How can I? Oh, I could do it this way. Damn. It's Brent Musburger. There it is. Brent Musburger. It's going to come on the program. There's Brent Musburger. Can I get that? Brent Musburger. See it? Brent Musburger is going to come on the program. Here's what he said. Dan, I'm so sorry I owe you an apology for not answering earlier. I'm traveling right now, but let's try to do something next week. And thank you very much. He was just honored by the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And he's going in on the Roselle Award. I think that's the award that Merrill won a year ago. And what makes Brent Musburger a dear friend of mine, I don't know how many football games he called of mine in college. He called a shitload of them. And man, I mean, I love Brent Musburger. Some of you in here probably don't know the name Brent Musburger. You guys may. But, okay. March Madness? I think he's more football. He is. He's a March Madness guy. He is. Look at that. Wait a minute here. How is that possible? We're going to get Brent Musburger on this bitch. How you doing? Look at that. Is Xander's name on that mother? Xander's always on. Is that Xander? There's Xander Krause down there. They got his own numbers. I'll just say this to you. If there's ever a phone like this without Xander's name on it, there's troubles. Here's Xander Krause here. Look at this. John Morgan, some of the guys down in Miami, Dan Morgan, Brent Musburger, and Jimmy Johnson. It's quite a list. Xander's name's right in the middle there. It's right in here. Holy cow. Hey. Hey, what did I say we're going to call? The Junkyard Dogs. That's the new name of the Eagle defense. 61 days ago, you had utopia. It was the perfect world. Now, you have like the Cabbage Patch Kids. The Cabbage Patch Kid defense. Holy shit, man. You got to be kidding me. Wait a minute. What's the guy's name that you guys signed? Johnny Mathis? What's the guy's name? Who's the guy? Terrence Mathis. Holy shit. Hey, Silsey was a second-round pick. Kenyon Green was a first-round pick. Joshua Uche Kuchi was a second-round pick. Dory Jackson was a first-rounder. Holy shit. And Azizi Ajula Alula is a second-round pick. Look at these guys. These guys are all on the island of misfit toys. Holy shit. But they're Eagles now. They're getting their wings. You get a little wings. When you go to become an Eagle, you get little wings. And all the fans know that you're an Eagle. You get to run around and go into Wawa, and they give you some of that shitty pizza they got in there. Without further ado, here on this Football Friday, 13 days away from the National Football League's draft, our friend Big Z, Xander.
What's going on, Big Sills? How you doing, brother?
The architect of the Junkyard Dogs. There he is.
Got the Junkyard Dogs. You got the Dollar Dog defense. You got the Low Cap Legion. You got, there's all sorts of good. How about the Thrift Dogs? I mean,
What's
you got
John call them?
I don't know. John doesn't come up with nicknames. You think does John look like a nickname guy to you?
Well, he did say something about this. Was like where you guys were shopping, Timu.
Yeah, Timu. That's true. That's true. That was Johnny Mac. So maybe I'm short selling him, but yeah, we got to come up with we got to come up with a name for this defense.
How about this, man? I think that's pretty cool, don't you? We're gonna get Brent Musburger on. Brent Musburger, the voice of college football, man.
I thought you've had him on, no?
I have.
I was gonna say, I thought I remember connecting with him already once.
Yeah,
he's great.
Been on. He's gonna be. He's going into the Hall of Fame August 2nd.
Yeah, he's dope. He's getting up there in age. He's got to be pretty old now.
Yeah. So this guy was a guy who had the NFL on CBS. He was the host and all this, man. I mean, when you were a kid, there were two people you wanted to call your games. You ready? It was him, and it was also Keith Jackson. Dan Sileo, Stanford, Connecticut, 6'2", 288 pounds. Right. And you're like, Keith Jackson called my name? Holy shit.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, my God, man. I was in the era. So many great broadcasters back in the day here. All right, let's get into this here a little bit. So what do you make of all this, man? I mean, you guys have been shopping at Marshall's for the last, 61 days here, man. I mean.
Marshall's, dog. We in the Five Below clothing section, man. We ain't in Marshall's. We have Five Below. But
is there one deal, though, you like?
I think something's coming.
Oh, okay.
I think something's coming. I'm starting to think something big is coming. Something to the equivalent of an A.J. Brown draft day trade. Not saying it's going to be something on the offensive side. I'm saying that equivalence. Is it a big edge rusher? Is it a massive move up the draft board? Do you acquire a guy going into, looking for a –
trade them all.
Right? I don't know. Look, did you see, by the way, WIP put that out today? I was cracking up. Like, Sileo literally did that yesterday. They put out somebody on WIP, trade everything for Abdul Carter. I'm like, Sileo was saying that yesterday.
Are you kidding me? They did that?
Yeah, you got to go look at their account. It's funny.
I will.
But, hey, look,
yeah.
What do you imitation is a form of flattery, Big Sills. But no, I mean, look, there's got to be something coming. And if not, it is still business as usual right now because this team is in a cap crunch and they're going to have to get better with cheap talent. We can sit here and laugh about it all we want, but if that cheap talent isn't successful in the next couple of years, you can kiss our chances at another Super Bowl goodbye. So again, a fun offseason conversation, a fun thing to kind of joke around and say, hey, it's a team of offseason, but the reality is we need some of these cheap guys to play well. That's what we need in order for this team to repeat. But I do think a big move is coming.
I'm going to hit on that in a little bit here. I want to ask you something. where would you put? I heard you guys talking. Guys, give me some great topics. Where would you put Jeffrey Lurie since 1995? I think he bought the team in 94, 95,
Yeah, somewhere around there.
right? Okay. Where would you put him as an owner in the league? I put these three. I've got the Crafts, I've got him, and I got the guy in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Those are my top three guys.
I think the Baltimore guy is even better than Kraft. And I think John, me and John talked about this, and I thought John's point was good of, when you have a good organizational philosophy, you can have change and still be good. And if you look at the Eagles, they've been good through Reed. They were good through Peterson. They were good through Sirianni. They were good with Wentz. They've been good with Jaylen. They were good with McNabb. Like their philosophy overall is good. I think the Ravens have that as well, where they have such a good philosophy in the room that they're always going to win a lot of games. And that's why they have 15 playoff appearances, I think, since 2000. So they're right up there as well. The Crafts are, you did kind of get the best quarterback ever. Now, I'm not saying that he didn't become that because of your organization, but let's be real. Since Brady left, that organization has fallen apart. I mean, completely. They're picking the third overall in the draft because of this. So I think the Jeffrey Lurie, I'd put him as a top 3 owner in the NFL right now. Right now.
Here's why I say Kraft's the best. To your point, his first 3 hires at head coach were Pete Carroll, Bill Parcells, and Bill Belichick.
That's pretty good. It's hard to argue with that.
Okay, and on top of that, they did go to a Super Bowl without Bill Belichick as the head coach and Brady. They lost to the Packers. And let's not forget that, would you not take 21 years of success, 25 years of success for 4 shitty years and 6 Super Bowls?
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. But the point being, the Eagles organization is so good that you literally Sills 5 years ago.
I know.
We signed another quarterback to a max contract. Like
that's the impressive part too, is the quarterback coach.
That's what I mean, where what they do here is clearly a working method. It might not be your favorite, it might not be somebody's personal favorite method to go about it, but what they are doing does work from a macro perspective. So I'd put them way up there, dude. I think Jeffrey Lurie's done a good job, man. I really do. And, I've had my gripes with Jeffrey and certain things with him, but he's done a really good job owning this team. And to his credit, he does seem to constantly pursue a Super Bowl. He wants to do it his way, but he does seem to constantly do it, continuously do it, and I think he deserves a lot of credit for that.
I'll tell you what, I think what you just said there might be the secret sauce to their consistent success, and that is, don't you agree that unlike Kraft, who didn't really have the strings on Belichick that much and didn't really have a lot of control, because let's not forget who Bill hired as the personnel guys. He hired Nick Caserio. He hired guys like Scott Pioli. He put people like Mike Lombardi in the building there. So he kind of left him have those controls. Whereas, wouldn't you not agree? The one thing, like you said, you may not like everything Lurie does, but the one thing that he does is, outside of Andy Reid so much, where he learned a lot from Andy Reid, I think he learned pretty much how to run an organization from Andy Reid. He said it a couple weeks ago down at the owners' meetings, how they're still really tight friends. They went out to dinner when they were down there. Yeah. Don't you agree that the fact that probably because he's had more control on the strings of the organization, that's kept the organization on its rails?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I agree completely. So, yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, he's definitely one of the best owners in football. I mean, really impressive what he's done with this organization, and they definitely want to do it their way. That and I'm a guy that can relate to that, so I can't hate on it too much. So I get that, but they've done a good job, and the success is now really starting to pile up.
Who do you think has a tougher job in 25? Vic Fangio or Kevin Patullo?
It's a good question. I think maybe, you can make an argument for both, and I'll give you the one for both. Patullo is the expectation sky high because, you're returning, obviously, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, best runner in football, Jalen Hurts, the best O-line in football, all of these things that people know. So my point with him is, if you get 12th overall in offense, which isn't great, but it's not awful, he would be treated like we had the 30th overall offense. I mean, Brian Johnson to be clear, had the 8th ranked offense in the NFL when he was blown out of here. Now, I didn't love everything I saw from Brian Johnson either, but think about that for a second. You're 8th out of 32 in the National Football League, and you're fired. So think about what does Patullo have to do to overcome that? And I think that's the toughest part about being the offensive coordinator. From the defensive side of the ball, he lost a lot of talent. You didn't lose anybody on offense. You lost Becton, but you lost a lot of guys on defense. So now Vic is tasked with, how do you recreate the magic of last year, recreate what made you the number 1 overall defense with all of these moving parts? Now, the other thing is pressure is going to be lower on Vic because people like you, people like John McMullen, I hear people all over the radio saying, what's this defense going to be? I mean, John said they might fall to 20th ranked. I said bullshit on that. But what did you have? Didn't you do a bold prediction on the defense?
15 to 20, didn't I say that?
Let me look at your boldies. I don't want to let you lose.
I thought 15. Didn't I say 15 to 20?
Defense. You didn't do an overall defense.
I think it's going to be somewhere in 15 to 20. Could be 11.
One of my bold predictions is that they'll finish top 5 again.
No way.
Simply because I'm a believer in Vic. But my point is the expectation's a little lower on Vic.
No. See, to me, Kevin Patullo doesn't have a lot of runway.
Yeah,
Vic
dude.
will.
Like I
Vic
still
will have more runway.
Brian Johnson thing. I mean, dude, Brian Johnson's not an offensive coordinator in the NFL anymore. That's what they made him look like out the door. That he was a massive problem. He was a reason for the collapse. The reason that Jalen Hurts got a safety in the playoff game, like that was one of the worst plays I've ever seen of Hurts' career. Like all of these things compiled, and Brian Johnson was just literally thrown to the wolves, man. The 8th ranked offense. I mean, think about that. That's not bad. It's not great. Maybe it's underachieving, but yeah, you got to recognize you got high standards, man. And that guy probably deserves a job in the league. But I digress on that. But that's where the uphill battle is for Patullo. Like, dude, does he have to be top 5 to be successful?
Here's what I say on both guys.
Or maybe it's all about team success, by the way.
Last year, because of the passing game, people are looking more team success.
Exactly. His wasn't that impressive.
No, the offense wasn't impressive outside of Saquon.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Okay. Do you agree that they may look like the 15th to 25th ranked defense in the first 6 weeks of the season? By the end of the year, they might be and look like a top 5 team. And here's where I'm going with that. A year ago, that didn't look like a top 5 team in the first 5 weeks of the year.
Yeah, right. No,
okay.
You remember the bye week?
No, dude, you went into bye week 2-2.
Dude, if you remember the bye week correctly, and I'll throw myself to the wolves right now. I came into the season last year predicting 14 wins or 13 wins, whatever it was. After the bye week, when they lost to the Buccaneers, I altered my win prediction down to 10. I said, if this team doesn't figure this thing out, this is going to be an ugly season. That's how bad those first 4 weeks were ugly. Even the 2 wins that we had were ugly wins. So, you're right about that. They really turned it around after the bye last year.
See, to me, it's going to be how quick Vic can get to these guys versus how quick he got to those guys last year. And what I mean by that is, I tell my wife this all the time. She's a rugby coach. Year previous, she had lesser players playing for her. She had a better record, and they were more competitive. And I told her, I go, that's because your team got it and what you wanted to accomplish and what your goals were and your expectations were and what your culture was and what your process was. This last year, she had more players. They didn't get it until the last month of the season. This is exactly what happened to John Tortorella. Those players never got it. Those players never bought in. He didn't want to coach, lost his patience with the whole thing. And at the end of the day, again, it's going to be about, do you get the eggs or do you get the shells this year? When are you going to get that? Is it going to be quick like it was a year ago? Remember what Vic said, and I agreed with him. I thought we weren't really going to know what that team was, that defense looked like, until around week 12. Shit, man. Week 6, you started seeing it. Hell, you could even make the comment, you saw Bond in Brazil.
Right.
in what he was going to do. No one really believed what Vaughn, dude, nobody. Remember John McMullen, I and you coming out on the postgame show, and I said, you're never going to see that guy do that shit again. Fuck, that guy did that every game for the entire year all the way to the Super Bowl. I've never seen anything like that. That guy played as good as he did in Green Bay and Sao Paulo as he did when he was in the Super Bowl this last February. I mean, it's incredible. So I think he's going to have more runway, Vic Fangio. Vic's really got quite a job, because not only does he have to find, and this is where people are truly missing, he doesn't have to only find 5 starters. He's got to find 5 backups that are going to be able to fit in, because just because you sign guys, here, let's give Howie, or let's give Vic what he did a year ago. Just because you signed Bryce Huff to an $18 million contract doesn't mean I'm not going to play a $3.5 million guy over Devin White. I'm going to play the guy who I think best fits. And he's got a hope in this group of people that they've hired that there's something in there that he can plug in and play. I think it's going to be lesser. I think you're going to have more bumps and bruises with mistakes. Let's all be candid about these players you signed. What's the one thing that they have that's consistent with every guy you signed? They have been inconsistent in their entire careers. Is that not true?
No, that's 100% true. That's 100% true. There's one thing I want to hit on, though. It's a little off football, but you brought it up there. The Tortorella thing. You brought up Torts. You're talking about him with the Flyers, right?
Yeah.
Another coach that Philadelphia will say, oh, no, Tortorella wasn't. Okay, Philadelphia. Keep blaming the coach. Tortorella, Vigneault, or whatever his name was, Dave Haxtell, Craig Berube, Peter Laviolette, John Stevens. I used to play with his kid back in the day. I mean, how many coaches, Philly, are you going to fire? We just talked about organizational success with the Philadelphia Eagles. The Flyers are legitimately the polar opposite. God, that organization pisses me off because I'm a hockey guy. So it just drives me crazy.
Laviolette and John Tortorella are bad coaches.
Yeah.
I mean,
the Flyers are brutal, bro. I just wanted to say that because I get a kick out of people who say Tortorella stinks because the Flyers fired him. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? Look at the history of the Philadelphia Flyers in the last 15 years with head coaches. I mean, Laviolette won a Stanley Cup. Craig Berube won a Stanley Cup with the Blues.
I think Laviolette won in Carolina.
Yeah, Laviolette won one.
Well, here, ask yourself this. What's the difference between the Flyers and the Eagles? It's ownership. I mean, look at the structure that Jeffrey Lurie doesn't make a bad hire at head. Even shitty Chip Kelly had a winning record.
Right.
Okay. I mean, dude, a guy you hated. What did he leave behind? Lane Johnson, Jeff Stoutland, a Slurpee machine. I mean, still, Chip, there's signs of what Chip left behind during his time, and it wasn't a complete failure. You know why? You got Lane out of it. You got Stoutland out of it.
Right.
I mean, every hire, they don't make bad hires, dude. They may make a wrong decision on a guy who doesn't want to conform. Look, the two things that Chip and Doug failed at, not playing the game with them.
Right.
Those guys did not want to play ball. And that's why, oh, by the way, I got to show you this here, man. This is fucking fabulous here. Before I go on here, oh, Nicky Sirianni, Yahoo, NFL Hall of Fame voter, Mike Finelli, Andy Reid 1, Sean McVay 2, John Harbaugh 3, Mike Tomlin 4, Jim Harbaugh 5, Sean Payton 6, Kyle Shanahan 7, Pete Carroll 8, Nick Sirianni number 9, and Dan Campbell number 10. That's his top 10 coaches. Oh, how you doing?
Yeah, who made that list?
Dan Finelli, his name is.
Oh, yeah, Dan Finelli. You should figure it out here. That's a shitty-ass list.
Yeah.
Nick Sirianni down at 8. Come on, man. I'm not the biggest Nick fan either. The guy is like the greatest win percentage of anybody in the first 5 years of it or 4 years ever. I mean, stop with that bullshit. Stop.
I'm not putting Nick out of the top 5 with his resume. He just can't. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, come on. You absolutely can't. And by the way, the whole BS of what does Nick do? Okay. Why is one of the biggest sports topics across all sports? Why don't all-star teams work? All right. What do you think? Just because you get a collection of good players are going to go out there and win the Super Bowl? Come on.
So what does he do? Is he a great cheerleader? What's his job? What's he do? Get him water? Help me out here. What's his job?
I'm not inside that building. I don't know what he does. But what I do know is that those players line up and play for each other every single game, week in and week out, for 3 years now. 4 years now.
Not 23, they didn't.
The end of the season they didn't, but earlier in the year they did.
What happened then? You know what he didn't have? What's the one thing Jimmy says?
Let me ask you
have assistant coaches.
Is he not entitled to learn? I mean, yeah, 23 was a botch.
Wait.
Like you said earlier in the show.
Is he entitled to win?
From it.
Okay. Is he entitled to win? Because I made this point to you. If Nick Sirianni was the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers, he'd have been fired 2 years ago.
Right. Well, hear me
but
out.
Because Shanahan's last name is Shanahan, he gets that autonomy and that hall pass because of shitty sphincter muscle tightening postseason coaching decisions that Kyle Shanahan does. Can you imagine do you think Kyle Shanahan would have been fired in Philadelphia if he had them brain farts like he did in the postseason? He'd have been fired 3 years ago.
Yeah, agreed. They would have never brought Kyle Shanahan in because Kyle Shanahan needs to do everything.
I think he's overrated. I completely.
Oh, look, he's good with the offensive stuff, but I think he's just one of those guys that wants to have his hand in every cookie jar that goes on. And if he doesn't, he throws a little hissy fit. It's like, dude, relax. That's one thing Nick does well. Look, and you might not like the Eagles style. Like, you might prefer the Belichick approach, right? Where he does everything. You might prefer that. Okay? The Eagles aren't doing it that way. And to their credit, they got a right GM. And the coach lets the GM be the GM.
And the owner.
Right. It works. So they're doing it the right way.
So I had this spirited debate with everybody yesterday, and I'll ask you.
Wait a second. Before we move on.
Yes, sir.
You don't have Nick at 8 overall, do you?
No, I got him 5.
Who do you got in front of him?
I'll
call bullshit on that, too.
Okay.
Andy won.
I got Andy Reid. I've got Sean McVay. I've got John Harbaugh.
Okay.
I've got Mike Tomlin, and I've got Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, I like that list. I'm good with that list. I got no issue with that list.
I think Nick can still move up.
Yeah. I think the one guy that
every one of those guys are going to go to the Hall of Fame.
I agree. And I think the one guy he could jump over, well, two guys he could jump over quickly are I love Tomlin, but at the end of the day, he's got to win a little bit more. Like, look, I'm not saying he's not a great coach. But yeah, like, come on, Tomlin.
Bro.
One bowl, man, and that was a long time ago.
Wait,
think about this. If we're 13 years later, when did the Steelers win the bowl with Tomlin?
Hey, wait, get this. They haven't had he doesn't have a winning record in the postseason, and I don't think he's won a postseason playoff game in 8 years. Take a look at that. See if I'm wrong.
Is that when they won the Super Bowl?
That was with Cowboys.
If we go 19 effing years, I'm trying to not curse nowadays. It's Lent, Sills. I'm blaming you. People are commenting to me, Silio's got you cursing more. I'm like, oh, come on. But if I told you we'd go 19 seasons straight starting today, Sirianni never won, would you still have him as a top 5 coach? No. I mean, are we giving Tomlin a little too much? You know what, Twiz, I think you won me over. Tomlin ain't ahead of Nick.
Wait. Here's the deal,
I don't think I can put him ahead of Nick.
Wait a minute here. Here's the difference between the Steelers and any other organization. When you go in Pittsburgh, you're a Hall of Fame coach. They've only had 3 coaches in 60 years.
I know.
I mean, every coach has won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Every coach is in Canton. He's going to Canton. I mean, we're not talking, and believe what they do. They've got 6 Super Bowl championships in that building. Their process has never really changed. They've modified it. When you talk about the Tiffany Gold standard of how you do, there's no doubt that Jeffrey Lurie in the last 30 years has really done a great job. The Steelers have been doing this for 60 years.
Yeah, no, I will say I like the Steelers' approach. Like, I don't think if you don't have success, even in Tomlin's case, the solution is just, okay, blow it up. Let's restart. Like, I don't think that's how it works. I value stability. I value bringing the coach back. It's like Johnny says, get the stars to align. They're not going to align every year. It's, you
Correct.
don't win Super Bowls every single year. It just doesn't
Correct.
work like that. But if you have the right guy in the room, speaking of this, is it bold to say that Nick Sirianni will be the coach of the Philadelphia Eagles until Jeffrey Lurie no longer owns the team?
I think that's probably going to be lined up together.
I just think
I think the three of them are going to bow out together.
I just think
the owner, the GM, and the head coach. The owner, the GM, and the head coach will bow out together.
I just think Nick is the perfect coach for him. Think about it. Doug was 50%, 60% of a yes man. There was 40% of Doug where he had a little balls and was like, I want this. That was too much. 3 years removed from a Super Bowl. Nick Sirianni truly lets the owner and the GM be the owner and the GM. And he has the team that those guys field winning football games. Like, I could see Nick being here for a long time if he obviously continues to win games.
The only problem that Pittsburgh has had in the last 6 or 7 years, by the way, Supers will be red, I promise. Hit the like button. Is that I didn't like their transition plan after Roethlisberger. It's been too chaotic at the quarterback position. They never really had a plan, which means to me that they stood too long with Ben, that they didn't really begin that process.
Yeah, they didn't look at all before then.
The one thing the Eagles did great was they got the help. Let me tell you this. That $33 million that they ate of Carson Wentz's contract at the beginning looked terrible. In the end, it looked sensational because the picks they got back, how they utilized it, and how quick they moved off of Wentz, whereas the Steelers didn't make that good transition. You see this a lot of times with quarterbacks that are in a place that long. Look at the Seattle Seahawks. You mean to tell me after Russell Wilson, your transition plan is Geno Smith and Sam Darnold?
Also,
where are you going with that?
Yeah, I'm with you. Why did the Raiders just give him an extension?
I mean, I think it shows you again why there's going to be potentially 4 people drafted in the upcoming draft.
You know who I think is going to take a quarterback?
What?
You know who I think is going to take a quarterback in the top 10 that we haven't talked about?
Who?
The Jets. Can't you see them taking Shedeur?
I could see Woody Johnson taking a kicker. I mean, he is so bad. You're right. I mean,
yeah, it's true. No, here's the thing. I don't like Woody. I like Aaron Glenn. I think Aaron Glenn's got a good head on his shoulders. I see him. I see a guy that's gonna, the man in the room.
Will he be able to overcome bad ownership?
It's gonna be hard, but I do think that's a guy that's gonna put his foot on the ground and say, "I'm sorry, but what y'all have done has not worked." All right. I just came from Detroit where we were winning. We turned that organization around. Okay. I was a big part of that. Let me help you, Woody. To be fair, there's one thing I like about Lurie too. He might like his own ways, but boy, is he receptive to new information. All the things that they do now in a football sense, they learned that from Andy. Andy didn't teach him how to own a team, but he certainly taught him the football side of it.
I think that 2023 season had a come-to-Jesus conversation with everybody from the owner down to the GM to the head coach to the team. The greatest thing ever happened, there's 2 things that happened for your Super Bowl win 61 days ago, was the 22 loss and the 23 debacle. All set you up for that game because you didn't know how to win that game in 22. You saw the failures of not living up to expectations in 23. And you combined it all, and you ran through the tape in 24. I think that was so important to the process of where they were, and you had great leadership from the coaches all the way down to the players. I still really have a problem with the defense only being 24 years old as an average. I don't think there's enough leadership on that side of the ball. You know, people are going, who do you think is going to be the leader? Jaylen Carter? Okay.
Dude, here's the thing. You learn something from being a champion in the NFL.
You do.
Right? I'm not saying that's going to make up for everything you're talking about with being 24 and lacking leaders and veteran. I'm not saying that. But I am saying this is not your average bunch of 24-year-old NFL guys. It's not. Look at, and I know college is different, but winning is a culture, a mindset, an approach to life. Okay, my cousin used to say to me, "How you do anything is how you do anything is how you do everything." Winners win. All right. There's a lot of guys in that room that have won a lot at every level of their career. Again, not saying that's going to wipe out all the issues, but I will say they're a rare breed of 24.
It's a mindset. And again, I brought this up the other day with Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson's last 2 years in high school, he wins the state championship. His first year at Michigan State, he wins a national title versus Larry Bird. In his first year in the NBA, he wins the NBA Most Valuable Player Award in the finals, carries his team in Game 6 to a championship versus the Sixers, and he did this all in 5 years. There's no coincidence. He went on to win 4 more titles. Everything he touches, from the Dodgers to what he's doing now with the Commanders, there's just something about being a winner and being around a winner and having a winner's mentality. I think that's contagious to everything, that when you're in a building with that and you play with people like that, that's why I told you about that Will Howard guy. I heard John say something about that Jalen Milroe and that Dart kid have a higher ceiling. Well, they also have more room for failure, because if you look at those guys, do you see first round written on them as a talent? I don't. That's why, to me, my value pick would be this. Look at Jalen Hurts. That turned out to be the greatest pick maybe in Howie Roseman's life, because it was a second rounder. He didn't go into the draft to go he got a safety belt for Carson Wentz. Turned out to be the guy was a starter. Look at Russell Wilson. That was a safety belt for a guy named Matt Flynn, who they signed from Green Bay. Tom Brady was a safety belt for Drew Bledsoe in New England. My point is that when I look at value and I see the quarterbacks in this draft, even Cam, the number 1 pick, if Cam goes number 1, and he is, Cam Ward is not Peyton Manning. Do you see Peyton Manning at that spot? Andrew Luck? No. I don't see that. But because teams
I don't see Jalen Hurts. No disrespect.
No, I don't see any of these guys.
I don't see that
with Jalen Hurts.
No,
I don't see any of that.
I mean,
like I said, who would you rather have? The kid from Ole Miss at quarterback or Tanner McKee?
Is there much of a difference?
Yeah. One guy's a 7th round pick.
One guy's a 3rd.
And the other guy you want to take in the 1st round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, this is I'm starting to I've always said I like Shedeur. He's saying Cam is a bust, Shedeur is a winner. They got it backwards. I could see this being true. I'm not saying he's going to be right. I could see this being true, though. That Cam Ward struggles. And by the way, I won't even say it'll be Cam's fault. If you go to the Tennessee Titans, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Cam Ward's not going to be successful.
No.
Same thing with Bryce Young, right? And I'm not the biggest Bryce. I love Bryce Young in Alabama. Obviously won a national championship. I always wondered how he was going to do in the NFL because he's just so damn small. I mean, I had class. He was on campus when I was there one time, and then I met him at the Maxwell Awards when he won the Player of the Year, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm bigger than Bryce Young. Like, I look down at Bryce Young. I'm like, when I see an NFL guy, normally I'm, looking up at him.
I like him.
He's in Carolina though.
I know. What if your boy Shedeur goes to the Jets?
I'll feel at least decent because of Aaron Glenn. I think Aaron Glenn is the man in the room. I don't think they've had that in a little bit.
I had a spirited debate yesterday with some of your boys. Here, Twiz and some of these other guys. M. Reyes, all right?
My boy M. Reyes.
Can you believe that the Philadelphia Eagles would have won the Super Bowl if Saquon Barkley wasn't on that team a year ago?
Last year? No.
Yeah.
No. How could
even with the defense being what it was?
Here's the thing that people don't understand when you factor in this equation. One of the reasons the defense was so good is because they had Saquon Barkley. One of the reasons that Saquon Barkley was so good was because they had the defense. If you take one of those away, it's not just the defense still going to be one, or if you took that away, Saquon's still going to run for 2,500 yards. That's not how football works. It's complementary. That's part of why that last season was so special. because the complementary aspect of it literally fit like a glove. It fit like a puzzle. It was perfect. And now you look back at the year and you see the artwork that was created in that year. It was a special season. But it doesn't. You take away that defense, Saquon Barkley's not running for 2,500 yards. You take away 2,500 yards, Saquon, that defense wasn't going to be number one overall. I mean, so it's hard for me to view it like that. You're telling me take the top offensive player in the league last year, take him off the Super Bowl winner, and they wouldn't have won? I mean, come on. That's a dumb take. I mean, we wouldn't have won if we didn't have Saquon Barkley. There's no way.
How important do you think the loss of Josh Sweat, Slay, CJ, and Milton? Because I agree with you. After listening to you yesterday, it's not one guy. Those 4 men that you don't have coming back, how instrumental are they going to be in the success of your football team this year, not having that collective group of dudes?
Which dudes? Sorry, I missed it.
CJ, Slay, Milton, and Josh.
Yeah, I mean, look, the reality of it is I think this is less on the replacements and more about the guys that the Eagles have identified as foundational. And what I mean by that is I'm not saying you can just put trash cans in for Milton Williams and Josh Sweat, but my point is if that defense wants to stay elevated, the guys that have to elevate it and keep it up there are Jaylen Carter or Zach Bond. You know, I brought up Zach Bond this morning on Birds 365. Sileo used to call Jalen Hurts a one-year wonder after 22. And you were right. He's done it 1 year. Let's be real. I'm still confident in Zach Bond, but when it comes to this defense, if he's not exceptional, you can kiss a number 1 overall defense goodbye. If he continues to get better, if Jaylen Carter takes another step forward and dominates in the league, if Quinyon Mitchell stays as good as he was as a cornerback, if Cooper DeJean is as good in the slot as he was, if Reed Blankenship was as good as he was, then I think the pieces that are filling in for those guys will have a much easier time. We'll be able to make a difference. We'll be able to, have a good foundation to come into. But in my opinion, it comes down to the great players. It's not about the replacement. Well, you got to have good replacements. I'm not saying you can just, again, you can't put Timu guys in there, which is what we're doing. But they got to be competent. But I think it's more on the stars. The stars got to elevate this year, Sills.
2 last ones here, and you just bring it up, and I like.
Ooh, here we go.
So let me expand on it. Let me throw this at you. Zachary Bradberry Bond.
Oh no!
How in the world do you not know? Thank you, Sander, for that topic, my friend. How in the world do you not know that he made All-Pro, signed a $12 million annual deal, one of the highest paid corners in all of football?
Wasn't it more than 12? I thought it was more than 12.
Okay, 14. Howie strikes again. This guy turned out to be a flamethrower. Okay? I mean, you tell me, how do you know that Zachary Bradberry Bond isn't a 1-year guy? 17 annual. Look at that. Holy shit.
You were way low.
$17 million a year.
You got the Huff deal. Remember, he got 3 for 51.
Wait a minute here. 17. Isn't that what Bond signed? Everything seems to be the same. James Bradberry Bond.
No.
Tell me, man. No? Why is this going to be different?
I can't tell you why, but I'm going to tell you that Vic Fangio believes in him. All right? And if Vic Fangio believes in him, that's good enough for me. Vic Fangio is the guy who saw him, said, I want him to be our off-ball linebacker, put him over there, trusted in him. It worked out. It paid dividends. That's a guy who came here on a small contract, and you could make an argument was the second or third most important player in bringing this city a Super Bowl. He earned every dollar he made and will make. There's no doubt. But we need that guy to play good if we want to win again. All right? There's no doubt.
You want to hear a little bit of insight here about a guy. Hold on. Let me get this here. DB coach, Eagles in 22. What was that guy's name again? He ended up going to Baltimore. What was that guy? I think he's in Tennessee now. Denard Wilson.
Oh, yeah. He's their DC now, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Listen, Denard Wilson did not want James Bradberry to sign a contract. Wanted to be the DC and said, he's not the guy. They didn't believe him. He exited out of the organization. Just telling
it
you.
ended differently. I thought they didn't want to give him the promotion, and then he.
Well, they asked him what he thought of the defense, and when he did his interview, he said,
what are you alluding to? That Denard Wilson was right and should be here?
Well, yeah, I thought he did a wonderful job when he was in Baltimore.
He was excellent. Denard Wilson was excellent when he was here.
Okay, and no, he was right at the end of the day about Bradberry. I don't know. But he was right in the end.
I ain't that mad about Bradberry.
But here's the difference with Bond, is where I'm going. What's Vic's specialty? Linebackers.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Remember what he said? You give me a special teams guy. You give me a guy who is that guy who could play multiple kickoff return. Why is that important? Kickoff return, kickoff coverage, covering people, hitting people. I'm less chance of him failing because Vic's forte has been since 1984 linebackers.
Right.
That there's a less shot of failure with Bond than there is with a guy like, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't he on two separate teams prior to getting to Philly, Carolina, and New York? Bradberry? I thought he was on Carolina and the Giants.
Too. I know he was New York. That's where we got him from, the Giants. But was he Carolina early?
I thought there were two teams that he was on.
I think he's going to make an excellent coach in the NFL, James Bradberry.
I do too.
That's what's going to happen with him. I think he's going to be an excellent. Carolina, Giants, Philly. Yep. Well done by you.
Yeah. So again, but you're sold that James Bradberry Bond is going to be the guy. All right, well, let me ask you this one.
James Bradberry Bond. What are you talking about? Yeah, Zach Bond was the best linebacker in football last year, and it wasn't close.
Who has to play superstar football this year for your defense to be in your top 5? Carter or Bond?
Or both. Both.
Pick one.
Both.
Because I think one is more – I think Carter's success is a collateral situation to what Bond is, because if that guy in front of him doesn't play well, he won't play well. The defensive pressure's on Carter, dude.
That's exactly why my point is both, though. If both of those guys don't excel next year.
You think Bond's first team All-Pro this year?
I didn't say that. I didn't say he had to be first team All-Pro. But he has to play like
Pro Bowl ball.
Pro Bowl ball. A difference maker. He's got to be an impact player on the defense. If he's not, we're in trouble. Same with Jaylen Carter. If Jaylen Carter isn't dominant next year, that defensive line is in major trouble. You could literally argue the entire game plan right now to replace the losses that you have is basically just the fact that you have Jaylen Carter. That's how much they're putting on. They're treating Jaylen Carter like Aaron Donald. He's going to make the whole defensive line work. So he better. He's got it.
Let me put it to you this way. If that kid Carter finally turns out to be the first team All-Pro guy, and I think he is, they're going to make that dude into a Barbie doll, just like LeBron James. They're going to get him a Barbie doll too, boss. Just like LBJ now. Did you see what happened?
I'm not talking about LeBron. What do you mean they're going to turn Jaylen Carter into a Barbie doll?
Barbie's got a new LeBron James doll now.
That's cute. What does that have to do with Jaylen Carter? What does that have to do with Jaylen Carter?
He's going to be a cultural star if this guy turns out to be whatever, and I think he is. I
like that he's low key, Jaylen Carter.
Do you understand about what I called Howie? About him being a calculated opportunist?
Yeah, he is. See, that's what he's supposed to be. That's what makes a good GM.
Yeah, well, I don't believe there's a lot of those GMs in the league.
Oh, and that's why a lot of them freaking suck. Let's be real.
Absolutely, man.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Wait, I got to tell the people, because we got a different audience here on the Sil Show versus my morning show. Some of the overlap, but we got most of a different audience. So my boy asked me, I want to tell you too here. My boy asked me, he says, "Where's the Kanga?" All right, Sills, what do you notice about this Kanga? There's my dog. See his coat?
Oh, I know.
And look at the hat.
Got it.
So this is
Oh,
my
wow.
Kango. This is my Kango hat that matches the coat of my dog. That's why I love this hat. So I got it when he passed away on Monday, and I got it yesterday. So that's why I'm rocking this hat, baby. Kango.
That is dope.
Yeah,
Way to
that's
go,
dope, isn't it?
dog. I love that. That's really great,
Yeah.
man. Very good, man. You know what? Like I tell people, I don't really like people all that much. I love my animals more.
Yeah, me too, bro. In perspective, dude. You know what I mean? I'm with you, bro. My
I'm
family
with
and
you.
my dogs.
Absolutely. Please hit the like button. We're going to have Jason Cole coming up here in a second. Xander, if we have any
let's do it.
Live chats or super chats, we appreciate you guys so much. We will read them now here. So please throw it up there. Sills needs one for little Stevie. All right, I would wear one. You kidding me?
Right. I don't know what little Stevie looks like, but I'll
get
get a
him.
pick of him. He's a pipsqueak, isn't he?
Yeah, he's like?
He's like 12 pounds.
Well, here, 12. Well, when we got him, he was like this big, and all of a sudden now, my wife likes fattening the males in the house up, as you can see.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing, man.
This guy looks like Secretariat right now, dog.
Bro, my dog was a. I used to say my dog would have been in the NFL of dogs if they had one. My dog was so athletic, man. He could jump and catch and everything. Oh my God. He was incredible. Kyle Kokorski says, "Sills and Xander, what was the common denominator since '92? The reason the Steelers went to Super Bowl is Dick LeBeau."
Great
Sills
call.
know a lot more about that than me.
Dick LeBeau was one of the greatest defensive coordinators. He played, by the way, Kyle, Dick LeBeau played with my uncle, Andy Robustelli, at the New York Giants. And Dick LeBeau was a great player. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think he played at Oklahoma or Notre Dame. I think he played at one of those places. And he had a legendary college career. He had a really good NFL career. And then he won multiple Super Bowls when he was the coordinator, I think for Carroll and also for Tomlin, if I'm not mistaken. Really a great defensive coach, man. I mean, you're right. I don't think if you don't have a great defensive coach on your football team, or a great coordinator, you're not going to win Super Bowls. And that's one of the reasons why I really think that the Eagles won the Super Bowl. I mean, look at the years you were great. Buddy Ryan, Jim Schwartz, Vic Fangio. You've been great because you had great coordinators in all those eras.
Yeah, it's true. Kyle, thank you, bro, for the super chat, man. Martin Perret checks in. What's up, Martin? More like Ross clearance section defense. I like Dollar Dog. I like what did I say? The salary cap legion or something like that. I like
Andrew, don't you agree if they finish in the top 5 this year versus being number 1 last year, that'll be a greater achievement for Vic than what he did a year ago?
It depends. What if you make a draft day trade for Trayvon Walker?
Or Trey? Hey, did you hear my prediction? I think that the Bills are trading their first-round pick for Trey Hendrickson.
The Bills? Where are the Bills picking? 26?
Somewhere down there. I think 20. Yeah, that sounds about right. They trade with Cincinnati, and they give them their first-round pick for Trey Hendrickson.
Where are we picking? No. Where are we scheduled to pick right now?
32.
Yeah. Who picks 32 again? That's right. That's right.
You won't be picking 32. You're going to trade out.
Yeah, only the champion picks 32. Bitch.
32.
Oh, man.
My God almighty. I got 12 months of this bullshit. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Hollywood Hogan checks in. Sills, garbage pail kid, you mean. Hogan. Oh, did you read Fleming? Fleming won our giveaway. Fleming, I forgot to ask you what shirt you want. Email me, you fucker. He says, I'll say it again. Sills, your guest booking game is unparalleled, and we are incredibly appreciated for elevating these convos. Sills' guest list is insane. I don't know a guy that's as connected as Silly. I swear to God.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, dude, I'm working on Dana White.
Oh, that would be sick. And people will say, no, you're not. Sills has had The Rock. Sills has had some insane people on this show, man.
Hey, wait, get this. We know how we're getting Dana. because guess who the official law firm is for UFC? Morgan and Morgan.
Morgan.
Yeah.
Oh, so they're connecting you. Oh,
Yep.
man, I love me some Dana White. I love the way he does business. He doesn't give a shit who says
Hey,
what.
what'd you make of this? What'd you make of this shit that I had here?
I
Look
love it, dude. I would
box.
like to get some too. I'll rock it on the
get
shows,
this.
man.
As a matter of fact, Dan and those guys asked me to get an address for you so that you
Yeah,
guys.
did he respond to you about Brittany?
Yes.
Yeah, he knew
Love
her, right?
them. It's
Yeah,
absolutely
they were
dear
friends.
friend.
They were friends.
Make sure you tell Brittany.
Yeah, I will.
They sent me a shirt and they gave me a hat right here.
Yeah,
Morgan.
the hat's dope.
Yeah.
I'll rock the hat. It's not as cool as this hat, but it's pretty dope.
No, not as cool as that hat. Or, in my opinion, the JAKIB hats too. I dig the JAKIB hats.
Oh, so is that your way of asking? You want me to send you
Yeah,
one?
I do.
All right, I'll send
And
you
I
one.
really do. I told them they had just funny. Dan, I didn't even offer it up. Dan goes, "Hey, let me send those guys some stuff too.
Yeah,
Maybe
good.
they'll rock it." I go, "They will rock it."
I'll rock it, man. They're a good partner. We appreciate them sponsoring the show as always. Let's go. One more super chat here. My boy, Philly Don. Philly Don, hope you're doing well, brother. Good to see you in here. He says, Sills, you're saying that these free agents we got aren't shit, but I think half of them make the team only because of the coaching, especially Ojulari.
Okay.
So you got what? 6 of them, Don, making the team? We got about 12 bargain basement free agents right now. I think he's not off though. Think about it. You got the long snappers obviously making the team. You got the return guy who's going to replace Covey. He's going to make the team. Adoree Jackson's most likely going to make the team at cornerback. One of the edge rushers, I think both Uche and Ojulari, but one of them is going to make it. That's 4. Well, what's his name? What's the new guy's name? Terrace Marshall. Will Terrace Marshall make an impact this year?
The Eagles have their roster. It looks like practice squad guys.
RC3 is 8 out of 12.
What?
8 out of 12 making them.
8 out of 12? You'll be what did John McMullen say? The defense? What did he have ranked? You'll beat the 25th ranked defense if 8 of 12 make it.
Please write that McMullen
Can I
take
tell
down. That
you
is going to
why?
be one of the, every year there's a couple shitty takes that each one of us makes.
Yeah.
Well, this year, one of John's shitty takes will be that they're going to fall to 20, but he'll revise it after the draft.
He also said that the Commanders are winning the East.
He said that today, but he also framed it up as, talk to me after the draft. So,
But
no, he's with you. He thinks the Communists are going to win the East. The Communists will not win the East.
How could John say the draft sucks, free agency sucked, and then go talk to me after the draft when you're like, well, wait a minute.
Well, no, I think he's right about the point of in Philly. It just feels.
Do you really think there's a guy in the draft that's going to help your fortune?
No, there's a guy. Come on, man. There's 200 players drafted. Are we going to be dumb here and act like none of them are going to be good? I mean, come on.
No. I'm going to say this to you. I bet you there's a better chance of a guy in the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round in this year's draft with the Eagles that'll make a higher impact in the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round than in the 1st round.
I agree. I think it's actually a good draft.
Why?
I just mean
they're all alike.
I just mean it's not like what it was the last couple of years. Like the drafts have been really fun in Philly the last couple of years. People got to recognize that, man. We had like Devontae Smith at 10. One year we had Carter and Nolan Smith. We were at 13 for Jordan Davis, so we were looking at all the top prospects in the draft. Even last year at 22, we got a steal with Quinyon Mitchell. Like this year we're 32. The board's not as good. There's not really probably going to be one of the guys that we want that fall to us. I mean, let's be real. A lot of the guys we've talked about are probably not going to be there. So, it's a little bit of a different approach. That's all.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely here. So great stuff, Xander. I mean, get this. 13 days away. You still sold they're going to sit there at 32? Or do they move out?
I think they move out. So here's my prediction. And I got a bold prediction for you on the way out. My prediction on the draft is one of two things. They're either going to make a splash, and I'm talking big splash. I'm not talking go to 29. I'm talking a splash, a move equivalent to what A.J. Brown was a couple of years ago. I think it would come on the defensive side of the ball, okay? That's prediction 1. Prediction 2 is you trade back and you play the game that most of us think they're probably going to play, where they're going to get more picks in the middle of rounds. Like you just said, try and get impact out of the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round in this draft, get some starters, and go from there with a cheap move. But those are my 2 predictions on the draft. And my bold prediction as I leave the show is this. Jaden Daniels will never win a Super Bowl.
All right. Well, would you trade the 32nd pick for TJ Watt?
Yeah, but can we pay him?
You can't make that work, Mr. Magician, Howie Roseman?
Wait a second. You're telling me you're going to pay TJ Watt $35 million, Jaylen Carter $38 million, Nolan Smith $26 million, Jordan Davis $18 million, Quinyon Mitchell $25 million, Cooper DeJean $22 million. What are we doing?
I don't think this. Whoa. Nolan Smith, TJ Watt. We're in a different conversation here. We're in a whole different conversation with Nolan Smith, TJ Watt. What doesn't fit? Okay. All right. That guy, you see him on his post, he's already telling Steeler fans this is his last year in Pittsburgh. Well, if that's the case, hey, I got a relationship with the assistant GM if I'm Howie. What do we do here? What if I give you the 32nd pick for TJ? You put TJ Watt on your defense, you got a different conversation. Look at TJ Watt and Jaylen Carter.
And maybe the Steelers can take the 32nd overall pick and
get a quarterback.
Woo! I don't know. Do they want, by the way, any of the tier 2 quarterbacks, I'm going Milrow. I know I shit talked him because I'm a Bama guy, but if I'm thinking about this from a pro perspective now, that athleticism, it's going to give him a little bit of a chance to develop slowly, similar to how Jaylen did. He relied on the athleticism early. I think Jalen Milrow's better than Dart, better than Howard, better than all them other dudes.
TJ Watt, Nolan Smith, Jaylen Carter, Jordan Davis, and Moro Jomo are your top and front four.
They're not going to do it. They don't have the money, bro. They can't do it. They're shedding salaries.
Wait, so they're poor?
I didn't say they were poor. I said they got a lot of good rookies, a lot of good guys on.
Let me keep Nolan Smith over TJ.
I didn't say that. You're putting words in my mouth, Sileo. Don't put words in my mouth. I said they got a lot of contracts coming up on guys they drafted that have panned out very well. That means they're not going to be able to be stupid or not stupid, but they're not going to be able to be bold and go and trade and sign a player like TJ Watt. What's he going to cost? Seriously, $35 million?
He's making 28 now. He's making 28 now.
He wants what, 35?
35. He's going to get up near that 40.
Yeah, that's what Myles Garrett just got.
Hey, by the way, I feel like I'm very educated before I bring Jason Cole on because I had Frank Reich on like about 3 days ago, and that Stanford kind of like arrogance that those people have, they're just completely arrogant, because of their what do they call that thing? They got all their money in like a hope chest. A chick when she gets married.
I went to the University of Alabama. You're speaking in tongues, okay?
Yeah, because Stanford, they have that hope chest for their whole athletics department. They get like caviar served to their football players. You know why they don't win a ton of games? Because those guys, they eat caviar at their training table. Let's get over. Xander,
thanks, Phil.
Appreciate it, man. Yes, Stanford Cardinal football. Let's bring him on here now. Jason Cole. Hey, Jace, I got to tell you, man.
It's called endowment. It's called an endowment, okay? And I know that's more syllables than a grad can handle, okay? But it's called endowment, and we have $32 billion. So here's the thing: we own you. We own you. Okay. Yeah. So take your little snotty little attitude and just understand we own you. Okay. That's number one. No, you deserve that. And it's not called snobbery. It's called erudite. We are erudite. We are erudite people. That is right. Yeah, Stanford grads. You can go look that one up. It's a multisyllabic word. That's a challenge for a cane.
Yeah, no,
because cane is one syllable.
Or 3 syllables.
You guys can't even say hurricane. It's cane because you can only do single syllables. Okay.
See, those are way too. I've never heard of that word.
Yeah, I know you haven't. That's why I threw it out there. Okay.
Hey, man, what do you make of Frank? What do you make of Frank taking that gig? And I'll tell you one thing, man. Andrew Luck, I really love the kid, man. I think the guy really loves Stanford football. I think he really loves that program too. What do you make of Frank taking that? You know what he said? He goes, get this. He goes, Andrew's doing all the heavy work. He's doing all the heavy lifting. He's doing all the stuff with Nil. And he's kind of set it up for him like it was a pro football job for him, that he doesn't really have to do anything. It's kind of because it's so late in the process that, you know, you're not going to change an offense. And Frank said it's a one-year deal here for him, man. I mean, what do you make of that?
Look, I love Frank Reich. So Frank Reich coming in, whether he's there for 1 year or whether it works out and he stays there long term, I'm a Frank Reich fan. Okay. And I texted him after he got the job, hey, look, take care of my school. And I know he will, okay, because he's a stand-up guy. I think the question about Stanford football is not about Frank Reich. It's not really even about Andrew Luck. It's about whether our administration can put us in a position where we're going to survive when the next TV deals come up. And, you know, like this is a really complicated stuff because the networks basically control college football now.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not the conferences. The conferences,
No.
I mean, like, I'll share this story that I got from one of my Stanford people who's erudite, who said, look, when the Pac-12, 10, whatever you want to call it, whatever it was at the end, finally fell apart, and we called the Big Ten and said, hey, would you take us, right? The Big Ten administration said, well, let us call the networks first. So that told you who was making the decision. And the network said, we don't care about Stanford and Cal. So it's not, the conferences are not it's not like in the NFL where the owners control the product and the commissioner speaks for the owners and negotiates the deals and they act as a power group. The presidents and whatever you call the number one person at any school, right? Chancellor, president, whatever you call it, right? Those people they're academics and they're supposed to take care of the university, right?
Yeah.
You don't understand how to take care of a football team and a sports program. They used to leave that to athletic directors, but you and I both know athletic directors, and there's some smart ones out there, but they're not TV executives.
No, it's the Board of Regents now that deal with these athletic departments now.
Right, and it's really complicated stuff, and the colleges are just not as sophisticated as the networks. And the networks have taken control of this, and the networks don't want to pay as many schools. So guess what? We've already eliminated the Washington States and the Oregon States of the world. You know, they're off doing nothing. We're eventually going to get to, is it 48 teams playing in a super division? Is it 64 playing in a super division? And I think that as it stands right now, that decision is going to be made by the networks. And if that's the case, Stanford football may not survive. So these are decisions, when you ask me about Frank Reich, yeah, from a football perspective, I love him. I think he'd be a great coach. I hope it works out. But if you're talking to me about where is Stanford football going to be in 5 years, I have no idea. And I think Frank has whether it's Frank or somebody else, it doesn't, like, they don't have any impact on what that equation looks like.
How about this, Jace? Frank on the program, I asked him if the Philadelphia Eagles had offered him the offensive coordinating job. And he said he made it very clear in the process with Nick, because Nick called him as a courtesy call because obviously they worked together both in San Diego when the team was there, and then they worked together when they were in Indianapolis. And he made it very clear he doesn't want to come back in that role. He also said, and I also asked him, did they offer you a consultant role? And he goes, yes. And I go, were you going to take it? And he said, I was. What they were going to do was they were going to carve out a responsibility role for me on what that was going to look like. They wanted to wait until the stuff settled with Kevin Patullo. And he said that they were carving responsibilities out because what he didn't want to do was go in and make waves for Kevin and for anyone in there. But I said this to everyone. Don't you think that was hedging their bets? Because Kevin Patullo has never called a play in his entire life, albeit he's been in the building. He's worked with Frank. He's worked with Nick in the past. They were together in Indianapolis. They know one another very well. But it just seemed to me that it doesn't really look like the Eagles were 1,000% sold on Kevin Patullo, and they went out and they really wanted to bring Frank into the organization. The only reason he did it is because the Stanford job popped up. Don't you think that's hedging your bets?
Oh yeah, but what's wrong with that?
Okay, don't you think that's
Look,
a huge
I
question mark?
get. See, here's a modern thing in the NFL that really annoys me at this point in time is everybody starts talking about how, oh, they brought in this guy because he's capable of doing it if this guy fails. And it's like, yeah, you better be covered. You want the smartest people in your organization. You want people with experience. And you want to know. Now, yes, you should be committed to Patullo as the guy that's going to be calling the plays and make it work for him, do everything you can to make it work for him. But there are a lot of guys who've never done it who suck at it. Because I will also say this, the NFL as an institution does a crappy job of developing head coaches.
Yes.
And it does a crappy job of developing play callers. It does a crappy job of developing anybody into something. Guys who become better coaches essentially have to do it on their own because there is very little training that goes into it. Like nobody sits there and says, okay, you got to do this, this, and this. Like, you tell a guy, hey, go read the Bill Walsh book or go read this book or go read that book, right? That's not teaching how to do plays. Like I remember having a conversation with Spagnuolo, right, when he was the head coach in St. Louis, right? And I said, hey, do you ever do things where you have like calling plays against each other in the middle of a game where it's like, like in the off season, like here, I'm doing this, you're doing that.
Yeah.
And then yell out the result. And then a guy's got to come up with the next play and be ready. So the guys are practicing. He goes, oh, that's a great idea. I'm like, why is it my idea? Like, shouldn't you just be doing that? Like, not Nick Saban, but Lou Saban, a Miami guy. He used to do stuff like that.
Yep.
He would sit there and say, okay, here, this is the situation. What are we going to do? Here's the situation. What are we going to do?
That's how Belichick taught Brady those war games they would play back and forth with one another. Situational football.
Right. And practices are situational football. Like you spend how many hours a week going over, we have 3rd and 4, this much time left. This is what's going on. This is what we're going to do. Be ready for this play, right? Everything is about situations. But the one thing that you don't do is you don't teach the guys who are calling the plays and you don't put them on a clock. Like, hey, we got, 40 seconds on the clock. Where's your next play? Or, hey, do you have 3 plays designed in the middle of the game for what's going to happen in this situation? You should be thinking about 3 different plays that might work on your first down play, depending on what you're in second down. Like I've had conversations with assistant coaches where, okay, it's 3rd and 9, right? If you gain 8 yards, you should already have your decision made on 4th and 1, because you should be saying, I gained 8. I'm going to go directly to the line. And I'm going to not let the defense get out of its nickel package, and I'm going to go tight and have my call on 4th and 1, assuming I get 7, 8 yards. I know what I'm going to do. But how many times do you see in this league? It goes from 3rd and 9 or 3rd and 8 to 4th and 1, and it's like everybody's standing around with their thumb up their butt, and it's like, oh, timeout. Like you should know that. Like you should know what to do. And that's why I say, to get back to Patullo, get back to Reich, yeah, are they completely sold on him? No. But you can't be, because that guy's not been trained on how to do it.
2 last questions here for you. Jace, tell me this. How can the NFL come out with Alan Sills, the chief medical doctor? How can they make statements at the owners' meeting about the tush-push play potentially causing CTE? I'm not debating the play anymore. We'll wait and see what happens in May. I'm talking about, how does the league come out and get that arrogant? I called the NFL Players Association. They have not contacted them. They have not talked to their doctors. They have not talked to anybody at the Players Association. How can you make that call and have a broad stroke of a conversation about it publicly without even having a conversation about your business partner and the league and the union before you even have a conversation? I mean, I've always said it's a conflict of interest that I even have to go to a team doctor, because that guy's going to put me on the field as quick as he can because he works for the owner. That guy's not working for me. He's working for the owner. I mean, how could they come out and make that public statement like that without talking to the union or conferring with union doctors?
So you said that the players are partners?
Okay, well, there was my biggest mistake, probably even in that conversation.
Wait. You said that. You said partners. You said that's an interesting word there. That's a really interesting word. When have they ever treated you?
You mean I'm delusional, is what you're saying right here?
Yeah, you took a few too many blows to the head, my man. You ain't partners. You ain't partners. You're employees.
We're a widget.
Okay? You are a widget in the game, and we will create the next widget because there's some other big dude who will do your job.
Cheaper
okay.
Too.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're whatever. That's their arrogance. And again, I go back to what we said a couple of weeks ago. I don't understand why the NFL makes the rules at all. I don't understand why they don't tell the players, you play the game, you decide, tell us what you want to do, and we're good. And it's on you. Like I would turn and I would say, it's on you. Here's what the doctors say. We're giving you all the information. You make the rules, give and sign off on liability because we won't be liable anymore. And you know what? The players will do it. The players will still do it. If you told you told the players, you make the rules, they'll do it. They'll do it in a heartbeat.
I'll sign up.
Right. And they'll go for, and they don't care about head hits. They care about knee hits.
Correct. Last one here. So I just saw the league is going to make a profit of $23 billion this past fiscal year. And I never thought that Roger Goodell would have been right in 2011 when he said that he wanted it to be a $25 billion a year business, and it's now turned it.
Well, are they making that is a profit TV. Or is that a growth? Is that a gross of 23 million?
That's a profit. They said that it's a $23 billion and it's going to be $416 million per team that are going to get stroke checks. Explain this one to me. How are the owners getting 416? I know I went to Miami and the salary cap is 279. I'm trying to figure out if you're making 416 and there's 279 in a cap, and we even went down in a COVID year. Again, is this too many hits to the head again? And what I'm doing here, because you just got through saying you'll take it and like it, and that's the way it's going to be here, because that doesn't look like what Gene Upshaw's.
That's not. Wait. Let's go through a little bit more math here. That's the TV contract money. That's not even your local rights money. That's not the money, the concession money. That's not your ticket money.
Properties.
Right. And I will say also, just the 279 number for the players is much higher than that, because you didn't include your insurance benefit, your retirement benefit, stuff like that. So really, the number that goes to the players is about 400. But still, at the end of the day, if that's what the number is, the owners are making about $400 million a year. Now they got to pay their employees, their front office people. They don't care. They're making a ton of cash, and that's why teams sell for $6 billion, right?
Yeah.
Like that. What did the Denver Broncos go for? $6.5 billion. Yep. You know why? These are not businesses anymore. I'm going to give you these are. And that endowment is the wrong word to bring it back to the beginning of this.
Cash registers.
Cash registers. It is what's the investment? It's an annuity. Okay. NFL teams.
It's an annuity. All right.
Your team, yes. Your team has been turned into an annuity payment. Okay. In other words, I'm going to get you a guaranteed return every single year. There's no risk anymore. So when teams go for sale, there's no risk that you're ever going to go under. It's all been guaranteed out. That's why that's why the teams explode in value. All right, because I can pay off all of my annual payments on this, still do that and make $100 million. Okay, I bought an annuity. I I didn't buy a business where I've got to like worry about the P&Ls and all that crap. It's foolproof. It's absolutely foolproof. And the widgets keep on coming, baby.
Hey,
because the widgets want their share.
As I leave with him here, this is why I get him on, because as you could tell by my disgusted face, he's telling the truth. I just had to always make sure that I get fair and balanced here, just like Bradberry here. Not that he watches that Fox stuff. I guarantee he doesn't.
I don't. You know what? I don't watch any of it.
I watch C-SPAN.
Yeah, C-SPAN because it's straight. It's straight news.
Yeah,
there's no opinion to it. There's just like, here, this is the facts, and that's it. That's all you should want. No,
I do.
No, I don't need somebody's news analysis. I just need the facts, right?
Facts.
That's the way to do it.
NFL facts. All right.
Well, look, the facts are you can't get around what the money is. Okay, that's all publicly recorded. Okay, and you can't get around what is the salary cap. And if you know the salary cap, you know what everything else is too, because the salary cap is based on a percentage of the overall earnings.
I'll let you get back to your dinner at the Palm here. I'm
not at the Palm, but that's a good one. You try
that. Hey, Jace, thank you so much. Have a great weekend, my friend.
Keep it erudite.
My friend Jason Cole, always great, man. We appreciate him. Please hit that like button. Oh, but on to me. You know what? I always have to check my phone because you never know. Oh, see, look, now we add John to it. Let's see here if I can get that. I love showing people. I love name dropping. There's John Morgan. There's John Morgan. There's Brent Musburger. There's a couple of PDs down in Jason. Got to take Jason off. See, I don't take Xander off until the end of the program. There we go, right there. So, John, does he like him? Oh, he loves Bruce Arians. All right. How you doing? This is where we're going next here. My Power 5 sandbox dudes. I don't believe anything has changed for me when it comes to the upcoming draft. Howie Roseman did a no-no. What do you think that no-no is? What was the no-no that Howie Roseman did? We will hit on that. Do me a favor, guys. Please check out my great friends. I just mentioned John Morgan, my friends at Morgan & Morgan, the -- injury law firm in the United States of America. See this right here? That's right. The number one way to you insure yourself to get your family protected is with Morgan & Morgan. Over $26 billion recovered. That is their track record, folks. Told you about the family in Pennsylvania. Recovered nearly $30 million for that family. Initially awarded $650K. There's a family down in Florida that the insurance company wanted to give them $350K. They ended up getting $12 million. Look at the stuff they're doing out in California. They're getting people, and the folks that lost their insurance and lost their homes, they're getting reparations for those folks because those insurance companies illegally canceled those insurances, and they're getting people restitution. If you've ever been injured, do me a favor and check out my great friends at Morgan & Morgan. Go to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sil sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Big Sills, the National Football Show. Do me a favor, guys. Please hit the like button. We appreciate you guys. 13 days out until the National Football League's draft. Let me throw this at you here. So I saw Joe Flacco sign with the Browns. What is it, $4 million? What a train wreck at quarterback. That franchise is not going anywhere until they rectify the quarterback position. You know what? I'm going to say this about Jimmy Haslam. Was the Deshaun Watson deal the worst deal in the history of the National Football League? It was. But I will say, at least they took a swing. They gambled and lost. They're trying to get something done. Would you rather have an owner not do anything? Or would you rather have an owner at least attempt to do something to make your franchise viable again at that position? I'm not going to kill him for making the move. I'm just not. They're stupid in other ways. Okay? But they had to. They had to do something at that position. All supers go to the top. Thank you, guys. Sills, good afternoon. I'm trying to understand. If the NFL is getting billions in revenue and they cut a team's check for $400 million, could they get superstars that will help their team? Now, remember something, Blaine. $420 million is going to be stroked to every owner. There's a $279 million salary cap that's involved in this. The reason that the salary cap is in the National Football League is why. This is why the NFL has grown. Baseball hasn't. The NBA hasn't. Baseball had to institute something called the luxury tax. What makes the NFL, think of this, Blaine, every single team, every team gets stroked the same money. Get this. Do you think you guys make more money than the Jacksonville Jaguars? How many people in here believe that the Eagles make more money than the Jags. You think you make more money than Shea Khan? Did you? What team? Baseball? Nope. It's not true. The Yankees, the Dodgers, they will always be more profitable because of their television networks they have with the Yes Network. The Mets always with the SNY network. Comcast helps the Phillies. Those private, remember, baseball's regional. Do you understand? The Jacksonville Jaguars. What team? Tennessee. You're not making any more money than the owner of the Tennessee Titans. The Adams family that owns the Tennessee Titans. You're not making more than them. You don't make any more money than the people that owns the Titans. You just have owners that look at their business different. Blaine, some owners think they know what they're doing, and they have a culture in the building that they kind of care. Here, I've done this, and I'll do it one more time for you here. You know, you're right, Blaine. It's a great comment. How come everybody's not really a good football team if everybody's being stroked to check? Here, I'll go this way, and I'll tell you. We just got through talking about owners. And we got through here, the Buffalo Bills, the Pagulas. I think they kind of care to win. Okay? Get this. This is untrue. Every team gets stroked the same check from the television packages. Okay? And for the record, Tennessee Titans pay less in income taxes. Eagles pay more because of the state income taxes in the state of Pennsylvania versus the state of Tennessee. Fact. Florida, no state income tax. It's adjusted. It's adjusted with cities and states that have income tax and state income tax. That's why they're adjustable. The Buccaneers, the Dolphins, and the Jaguars have higher profit margins than what the Eagles do because of state and federal income taxes. That's why some places you'll see a bigger number, but the profit margins are better in Florida. And Reyes doesn't know shit from a hole in the ground because he doesn't factor regional locations and federal income taxes and state income taxes. How you doing? And by the way, the television packages, everyone gets stroked the same fucking check. That's why they have parity. How you doing, Mr. Calculator? Anyway, holy cow. And Reyes will parachute in with an L take. This guy here, man, has a week of L takes. How you doing? Why do you think nobody wants to be a free agent in Detroit? You got to pay city, you got to pay state, and you got to pay federal. When you work in Philly, city, state, federal. When you work in Florida, you pay federal income tax. That's all she wrote. Amris, how you doing? Oh, my boy, M. Reyes. He'll give you about 20% of a good take. Any day, baby. This guy here rides in on a wave. He tries to help you out here, man, but he ends up in a bang and boom. Hey, anyway, real quick, now that we've done that, it's a great take, though, and I appreciate it. Okay? I love this guy, man. We're good boys, man. We're all right. Let's see here. Hey, dude, if you work in the city of Los Angeles, M. Reyes is right, though. He's right. it fluctuates because of state, city, depending on where you are in the country. And like I said, Florida is different. He's not wrong. You see a higher number in revenue. And by the way, Jeffrey Lurie's team is worth more money than Ziggy Wolf's team, or excuse me, Shea Khan's team in Jacksonville. Why? He's got a stadium, and it's in Philly. If I've got a pizza shop in Jacksonville, Florida, versus a pizza shop in Philly, my pizza shop, the value of it is worth more in Philly. Okay? It is. You kidding me, man? I love M. Reyes on my show. I can always count for content because most of the time his takes are shitty. How you doing? Yeah, I'm going to get to Howie Roseman, man. What a jerk. Howie was a jerk. I'm going to get to it here in a minute. Let me write it down. Jerk. Howie. Howie Roseman. Eagle jerk. Hold on. I'll get to that here in a sec. Howie Roseman is a jerk. Yeah. Well, hold on. No, you're right. Dick Track's the worst. M. Reyes actually has some pretty fair takes. Twins is right up there, too, with him. Those two guys are running neck and neck. They're a little better than Ben Simmons. M. Reyes is the Ben Simmons of the Big Sill Show. Let's see here. Howie's a jerk. All right, I gotta remind myself of that. Hold on. All right. Super Bowl MVP, Jalen Hurts. Wow. Pretty amazing. Super Bowl MVP, Jalen Hurts. Yeah. Let me talk about another Super Bowl MVP. Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco, 15th in passing yards at 45,697 passing yards. Hurts will never pass that in his ever 2903 career. 2903. He ain't ever getting to 45,000. That ain't happening. 257 TD passes versus 162, which is 20th. He's 20th all time in passing TDs. He's won 105 ball games. Eli Manning's won 10 more games than him. Wow. This guy won a Super Bowl MVP. He's a champion. He's the comeback player of the year in 2023. I mean, his career clearly is nowhere near done yet. This guy's played 17 years. Joe Flacco, Hall of Famer? Jalen's book still to be written. 2903. Let's just figure this out here, Hoss. If Jalen Hurts, let me see here. Let's take a look at Jalen Hurts here. What's he, let's go Jalen Hurts stats here. Let's see here. Let's go. Jalen Hurts. Joe Flacco's already got the accomplishments of what Hurts has. So let's take a look at this here. All right. Let's see here. Jalen Hurts is averaging. Here's Jalen Hurts' averages. He's averaging 19 TDs a year. He's averaging 3,100 yards passing a year. So for him to get to just 30,000, he would have to play another 10 years at this rate. That would be 13 years for him to get to 31,000 passing yards. Flacco's almost at 50,000. And he's got a Super Bowl MVP. No, Sue. No. I'll add in. Super Bowl MVP, Super Bowl winner, comeback player of the year, Joe Flacco. Stats get you in the Hall of Fame and championships. Joe's got both. You knew it. He'll never get in. He'll never get in. He's a Super Bowl MVP. 20th all-time in passing yards. 20th all-time in TD passes. Joe Flacco. In 29-03. Wait a minute, Twiz. Joe Flacco's MVP Super Bowl too? Joe won. He's got Joe Flacco this year. If he does what he did in Cleveland, he gets 10 more wins. He'll have as many wins. And he actually has a better record than Eli Manning. Actually, Joe Flacco has a better record than Matthew Stafford. Who do you think has had a better career, Matthew Stafford or Joe Flacco? Well, Joe Flacco has won a Super Bowl and MVP. Stafford didn't. Matthew Stafford's got an under 500 record. Joe Flacco has an over 500 record. Look at this. Wait a minute. I just tell you a guy that did what Hurts does. He's more accomplished than Stafford. Is he not? He was with Detroit. Funny. Jared Goff's not having a problem up there. He had Megatron, Reggie Bush. He was 0-4 in the postseason up there. No. They both have a ring? No. Joe's a Super Bowl MVP. Like Jaylen. Jaylen will never throw for 45,000 yards in his NFL career. He'll hang around 33, somewhere in there. That's not going to be good. Well, not if the Super Bowls add up to like 2 or 3, of course he's getting in. But my point is, what he's done so far, that don't necessarily mean he's going in. Well, I got a guy who's done more. Now, true, his book still has to be written. How you doing? All right. Jalen Hurts Flacco. Oh. Woo! Look at that. What's up with that? Now, look, let me write this. I wrote this thing down here. Hold on. Howie's a jerk. Howie Roseman is a jerk. Why? Should we do that one now? You're picking Hurts over Flacco? Let's see if Jalen Hurts is playing in his 17th year. Joe Flacco's a better passer by far. By far. You want to know why I'm calling Howie a jerk? He did something that was unbecoming. And you tell me if I'm crazy, which you probably will anyway. Are you ready? Tell me if you're ready. Because some of you may agree or disagree. Howie's a jerk. I'm sure Bob loves this. Okay? Here we go. So, man, poor Brandon Graham. Guy wants to play. Howie won't let him. Nah. What do you want me to do, Howie? He was basically telling him he wanted to come back for another year. You know what Howie told him? I think this is a fantasy ending to a great Eagle career. What do you think? Shit, he don't want me back. Damn. He just told me to kick rocks. Howie forces retirement. Fairy tale ending. Yeah. Howie wrote the ending for him. Brandon Graham didn't. Howie did. He told him, I think it's a fairy tale ending. Don't you? Forces retirement without having to make a decision whether to bring him back or not. Is he right? Probably. He wanted Brandon to go out on a high note and not on the waiver wire, like so many. Guy's banged up. He's been injured. For him to come back and be a contributor this year when your team was 24 years old, it looked like a daycare center with a teacher with Brandon Graham, wouldn't it? The average defensive age is 24.3 years of age, and you bring back a 62-year-old guy with a chicken wing that's injured. I don't know. It's a fairy tale ending. Me, I told you he needs a little bit of veteran, but that's not what the Eagles thought. Brandon, I think it's a good thing you had a fairy tale ending. So pack your shit up, and you get you get to keep your locker. Yeah, we're gonna sign Joshua Uche and Aziz Aguilara to replace you. Cheaper and fairy tale ending. Howie wrote his ending for him. Maybe he did him a favor. Because let me tell you this, what I would say. Every NFL player, Tom Brady went out a loser. 7-9. Johnny Unitas. Joe Namath. You play until you can't play anymore. Boxers. Ali. Name them. Athletes Tiger. Staying too long. Banged up. There's not a chance in hell Tiger will ever win again. But the competitive fire will keep him in the building. Did Howie do Brandon Graham a favor? How do you look at it? I think he did him a favor. Brandon, let the Eagle fans see you go out on an exceptionally high note than bringing you back and having to cut you. I mean, right? Brandon Graham didn't retire. Well, I'm 90% sure, the further it gets to the point where the 21st in 10 days, is it 10? 10 days, the Eagles start their off-season conditioning. And the more they get towards the draft, he's going to want to come back and play. I'm 90%. And now, guess what you got to do? You know what you got to? You got Hugh Douglas of WIP saying, dude, stay retired. You know why? He doesn't want Brandon Graham to be embarrassed. Okay? He doesn't want him to be embarrassed that they may have to cut him or make a tough decision. I think Howie Roseman's doing the right thing for him. Dude, this is right. By the way, I'm kidding around here a little bit, but Howie, do you not agree? Howie Roseman forces retirement. Embarrassed? Being cut? Being cut? He's not healthy right now. Embarrassed being cut. BG still got it? Funny. When Howie was talking about Jason Kelsey. He was actually, and so was Saquon Barkley, begging him to come back. I don't hear Howie begging Brandon Graham to come back. Do you? They were begging Fletcher Cox to come back. I don't see anybody begging Brandon Graham to come back. Again, I think Howie's hooking him up. Me? He's had a legendary career in Philly. He was part of some of the greatest. Here, let me say this to you. Was he Reggie White? Absolutely not. Was he Clyde Simmons? Absolutely not. Was he Trent Cole as a pass rusher? Maybe. Was he part of the greatest winning era in Eagle history? Absolutely. Absolutely. Is he Clyde Simmons? No way. Not happening. It's not close. Okay? That's a dumb conversation. But you could make the comment that he was part of the greatest era of winning in Eagle history, and he was part of the center, one of the centerpieces in it. For sure. Hey, and what you're saying, honestly, I got nothing but admiration for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. I got nothing but admiration for Brandon Graham. I think it's been a wonderful time for a 6'2" guy who kind of farted around his first 4 years. In his last 4 years, or his last 11 years of his career, he was one of the most productive guys in the league. Okay? It was. I mean, that's right. Chuck, I think this is probably, well, you know what? I think he did it the right way, Howie. I think Howie really did it nice. This is really great bedside manner on how to tell them it's time for you to go and move on. I think he did this, in my opinion, okay? I think he did this really great. I do. I think he told the guy, hey, man, Howie looked at the probability of an injury and said, nah, we're good. That's probably right. Probably went, listen, man, do you really want to go out limping around for the next 6 months? And if the team is not, and get this, you're on a team with so many more question marks, and you go out like that, dude, you should bail out this way. Remember something too. Do you guys happen to remember when John Elway retired? John Elway, remember what he did? It was right around this time. John Elway got in front of a mic and he started crying. I have to retire. It was right after the Super Bowl. They won back-to-back titles. And Elway was like, my body can't go on anymore. I have to retire. I don't want to, but I have to. Nobody wants to leave the game. Very few people get the chance to call their putt like Fletcher and Jason. Brandon Graham didn't call his putt here. Here, I'll tell you this in a second here, Leon. I asked just out of curiosity, do you think part of this has to do with Hurts and Brown's story earlier in the season? No. Kelsey and Cox didn't have media stirs. CJ and BJ did, and now they're out. It's a great tie-in, but no. I just think that he's a 15 going on a 16-year player that's starting to acquire injuries. And I think that's what the Eagles looked on, and the Eagles want to move on and start to invest in some of their younger players. Here's the thing. Don't you agree? Who's Brandon Graham going to take reps away from? J.Alex Hunt? Nolan Smith? I don't want that. Okay, you know what I mean? I don't want that. I want to start developing those guys. Hey, Leon, who told you the Saints were going to move on from Derek Carr? They have a bonus coming up here at the end of this month. $40 million that they're going to have to guarantee for the entire year, a full $40 million. Saints ain't doing that. They're the worst team in the league right now in cap problems. You're going to put a $40 million a Derek Carr? I'd rather have Will Howard. I'd rather have somebody, that Dart kid, than pay Derek Carr $40 million. Is that Shador? Get this. You see this move right here? Xander, everyone, remember that proposition I threw at Xander? You're down at 32. New Orleans takes their guy. They don't have to take a first-round pick. Where are they picking in the draft, New Orleans? Somewhere between 10 and 15? Is that where they are? Or are they up in the top 10? They could go get themselves that running back. Follow me here. They go get themselves that Ashton Genty guy. Right? They're picking 9th. You take Ashton Genty, and Kellen Moore takes him 9th. Howie gets on the phone. Hey, Mickey Loomis, general manager, New Orleans Saints. Got a proposition here for you. How about that 32nd pick? This guy's been fleecing the New Orleans Saints the last 2 years. Gardner Johnson, Zach Bond. Why not try for a threesome? Hey, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give you the 32nd pick for your 39th pick. I want a first rounder next year. Can't give you a 1. All right. I'll see you later. I'm going to call the New York Giants now because they took Travis Hunter and they need a quarterback. And they got the 34th pick. Well, wait. Whoa. If you want to be an asshole, I'll call the frickin' Raiders. Oh, well, and Kellen hangs up and goes, I could get Jalen Milroe in here, and I could try to duplicate what we did in Philly with Genty and with Jalen Milroe, and they're on rookie contracts. And we jettisoned Derek Carr. Financially, it makes sense. Howie goes, I'll take a 1. Just saying. Does this make sense? Yes or no? Sills, Saints nor Giants are helping the Eagles. Whoa, wait a minute. No. I'm helping you out by giving you a 1 for a quarterback down at 32. You got to move. You're moving off a quarterback. You need a fucking guy in there at 32. You get him on a rookie contract instead of paying. So get this, Hollywood. You'd rather pay Derek Carr $40 million, or would you rather pay $4 million for Jackson Dart or Jalen Milroe? You mean to tell me I could pay $4 million? He'll make less money. Jalen Milroe will make less money than what he made at Alabama last year, being a starting quarterback for the Saints. And you think that's a bad deal? How? Well, you go like this to the Giants have the 34th pick in the second round. The Raiders have the 37th. And the Saints have the 39th. What's in common with those guys? They all 3 need quarterbacks. If I'm Howie, I am going to get sold on anybody in this mediocre draft whatsoever. I got 5 guys that I might sway me not to do this. Here's how I think this is going to work. I got 5 dudes. James Pierce, Tennessee. Malachi Starks, safety, Georgia. Kenneth Grant, DT, Michigan. Walter Nolan, DT, Ole Miss. And Jalen Walker, edge, Georgia. If one of those guys is not down there at 32, I have no interest in this draft in the first round. I have an interest in the draft seconds, threes, fours. I have interest there, but I'm not going to get financially bogged down. When I got guys on my team, I may have to pay. Nolan Smith, Jacoby Dean, Cam Jurgens. I get better players on my team than I do potentially in the draft in the next 2 years. I can honestly see Shador and Cook with Kellen Moore. With Carr out now, they are desperate. Correct. Take advantage of that. Best believe Kellen calls Howie for a trade to grab a quarterback. By the way, Shador, one of the teams is probably going, the Steelers. Let me say this to you. If Shador Sanders doesn't go in the top 10 picks, he could fall to the bottom of the draft from 20 to 32. And then you could have people potentially moving up. If I'm the Eagles, I sit tight. Let me ask you this. The two blue chip guys are Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter. There's nobody in this draft that makes me want to go up and get. Not when they're the same guy in the second round. I'm very comfortable drafting Jack Sawyer with the 96th pick. I'm very comfortable with that. The 64th pick, I'm okay with that too. The difference between the 64th pick and the 24th pick, I don't think there's any difference. Okay? So what I would do, see, the 32nd pick now, let me tell you what this Carr move did. Do you not agree? The Carr move has made the 32nd pick in the draft more valuable. Saints got the 9th pick. Shit. Go get Genty. Go get a, well, there's not a real high. Maybe you get the receiver from Arizona at 9 if he's still there. Right? I mean, Abdul Carter will be long gone, and so will Travis Hunter. I'm not taking Shador Sanders at 9. No, thank you. I don't. Shador Sanders at 9? Holy shit. That guy's a third-round pick. I mean, you want me to take him at the 9th number? No way. Dude, I think Cam Ward is probably the 13th or 15th best player in the draft. Taking him at 1 is nightmare. I mean, that's a nightmarish move. So me, I sit back, watch the board come to me. The draft is coming to Howie. Here, what's happened? Pittsburgh moved off a quarterback. Xander says, what about the Jets up there? The Jets could easily take. Here, let me take a look at the order here and tell you how valuable now. This Derek Carr move, I think, has made the 32nd pick more valuable. Draft order. So here. Titans going to take Cam. Browns are going to take Abdul or Travis. Giants will take the either guy. Patriots need a receiver to go with Drake May. I wouldn't be shocked if Genty gets it there too. Could be some conversation there with him. They're at that pick. The Jets, the Raiders, that's awful high for Shador. By the way, if you're the Eagles, you pray to God Shador Sanders goes high. You pray he goes in the top 10, because then that 32nd pick becomes even more valuable. You're praying he goes high. You want the Raiders or the Jets to take him, because then it's going to be, how much do you like Jackson Dart? How much do you like Jalen Milroe? Maybe there's an idiot. And I don't believe that Gabriel Dillon is a bad guy. I think that thing could be, I don't know. I don't think so. But that 32nd pick now that, and by the way, think about it. Do you possibly think, and now I'm just playing conspiracy, after Kellen Moore got the job, do you think he had a conversation with Howie? Hey, I'm going to go in there and take a look at things. Or Nick? Or Doug Musmeyer? Had a conversation with Nick? Or Kevin Patullo? You know, they were interviewing or potentially interviewing to be the OC and quarterback coaches down in New Orleans, weren't they? So when they were interviewing and they were talking about all this, you don't think the conversation ever came up of moving off of Derek Carr and drafting a guy? Sure it did. Why wouldn't it? You don't think that came up in the interview process? You know, Kellen Moore has a great relationship with Howie. Shit, the owner loves the guy, Kellen Moore. And they had these conversations. I don't know. You think they talked about it at the parade? We're going to decide what we're going to do with Derek Carr. It's going to take me a couple months. It's been there a couple months. They decided we're moving on. Why? They were forced to move on. Same way the Eagles were forced to move on from Josh Sweat, Milton Williams. Money. Overextended cap. Howie sits there and goes, Howie's going to turn that 32nd pick into a top 15 pick by just waiting. Sitting back and letting teams make personnel decisions. Saints move off a Carr. So let me get this right. Ask yourself this, if you're Kellen Moore. Do you really want to start your first year? Who's going to quarterback for you? Remember Xander said this? What's the worst thing that Kellen Moore is doing? He's taking a Saints job. Why? Where are they going at quarterback? Shitty cap? Shitty quarterback situation. Can you have two things? At least in Buffalo, you got Allen and a shitty cap. And you're winning games. In New Orleans, you have a shitty cap and you have no quarterback. Hey, nice hire. Currently, in the current status, Kellen Moore will never see the success of the things he builds now if he doesn't make a move at quarterback. Howie's sitting there going, oh, dude, the greatest thing ever happened to the Philadelphia Eagles today was that the Saints moved on from Derek Carr, and the former offensive coordinator in Philadelphia is the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. And there's a need at QB. I don't know about you. I am so not the smartest guy on the planet. But how in the world does that not make sense? I mean, how does that not make sense? Then you leverage the Saints with the Giants. You're hoping the Giants don't take a quarterback. You're hoping that the Browns may not. You're also hoping that the Raiders don't. The Raiders, again, here. Raiders have the 6th pick. They're not taking Shedeur. They'd rather wait until 32. How do you know Shedeur? By the way, I want to show you how you drive a stock down. What's the fastest way to drive a stock down? That 32nd pick. I call Howie up, and I'm the Raiders, and I pick another guy. Corner. They need a corner. Okay? The kid from Michigan. Or Mike Green, whatever. You call Howie up after you make that pick. Howie, we may want to trade that 32nd pick. What are you looking for? Well, I want a 1. Next year's draft. I can't do a 1. Fine, I'm calling the Giants. Hang on. You want me to put you on hold? Giants have the 34th pick. They took Travis Hunter. So I'm going to call them and see because they need a quarterback too. Just got off the phone. They're interested in making the 32nd pick. I want a first rounder. We can't do that. Well, okay. Then he called the Saints up. Kellen. So where are the Saints picking at 9? Hey, congratulations. Great pick. You just picked Genty from Boise State. Boy, that kid looks like a brick shithouse, man. What a great looking player. You know what? You could probably do the same kind of stuff you did in Philadelphia. Run game, get an O-line going, load up on offensive line over the next couple of years, improve that O-line. They got a pretty good defense down there. It's not that awful. And you start to build the team on rookie contracts. I mean, now you're starting to cook here. That pick was shit 20 minutes ago. I can honestly see Shedeur cook with Kellen. I don't know. We'll see. Bidding war for the 32nd pick now. That's right. Price is right. And that's right, Leon. Look at this. Because the draft stinks. Hey, because the draft stinks, look at the teams down here at the bottom. You don't have to worry about them. Kansas City don't need a quarterback. Buffalo don't need one. Washington don't need one. Detroit don't need one. Baltimore don't need one. The Rams don't need one. The Texans don't need one. Minnesota doesn't need one. Green Bay doesn't need one. The Chargers don't need one. The Steelers at 21 is the only time you'd have to concern yourself about a quarterback down in the bottom end of the draft. That's all the way up to 21. Do you understand? You're talking top 20. Broncos don't get this after that. Broncos don't need one at 20. Bucks don't need one. They just gave Baker Mayfield $100 million. Seahawks could draft a quarterback at 18. The Bengals don't need one. Cardinals don't need one. The Falcons don't need one. They just took Michael Penix. You now make that 32nd pick. Now that Carr's been blown out, that 32nd pick now, and at the top end of the draft, like I told you, Giants 34, Raiders at 37, Saints at 39. We're cooking here. I want a 1. I want a 1. I'll move back to your 39th pick. I'll move back there. And I'll give you my 32nd pick. But I want a 1 next year. And get this. If you're Howie, the chances of New Orleans, the Giants, and the Raiders blowing and being a top 10 pick is fucking insane great. You may have the 5th pick in the draft next year if you do this right. And those comp picks. One of those 3 teams need quarterbacks. And if they don't take them at the high end of the – look, like I said, at the high end of the draft, Are you really going to take Shedeur Sanders with the 3rd pick overall? You see that. I don't. Would you take Shedeur Sanders over Travis Hunter? Not me. I mean, those are 3 shitty teams. Saints, Raiders, Giants. And I would love to do it to the Giants again. Can you imagine hosing the Giants over on Barkley? And then the Giants win 4 games next year and you got a top 4 pick. And you're in the conversation to take a spectacular player in next year's power-driven draft. I mean, this is getting interesting now. Draft sucked. Draft talk blew. This is getting interesting. New Orleans already fell for the trick when they wanted Chris Olave and the Eagles drafted Devontae Smith with numbers first. Yeah, but here, senor, here's the difference. If you're the head football coach, don't you, if you're Gail Benson, the owner of the team, and Mickey Loomis, the general manager, don't you want to do everything possible to give the coach a true fighting chance at succeeding? You're not going to have a fighting chance with no quarterback and salary cap hell. You're telling your fan base you're not winning. You might as well not buy tickets for the upcoming 25 season. You've got to send some ray of hope that you're aimed in the right direction, don't you? And get this too, senor. He's not expensive. He's the 32nd pick. He's making $4 million. Jackson Dart made more money at Ole Miss. Jalen Milroe made more money at Alabama than he'll make in New Orleans as an NFL starting quarterback. Wow. The what do you call it? The desperation they're 13 days out. There's going to be more desperation. There's going to be more desperation. You're hoping that Seattle drafts Shedeur. And then, because look, the Bucs don't need one. The Broncos don't need one. The Steelers are probably then going to sign Aaron Rodgers. If Shedeur Sanders doesn't land in Pittsburgh, he may sign with Minnesota or Pittsburgh. Remember, there's the Aaron Rodgers factor here. Aaron Rodgers, could he sign in New Orleans? Here's the quarterbacks that you're not thinking about. Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, and Aaron Rodgers. Those are the alternatives. Aaron Rodgers is going to cost you $25 million. That guy ain't playing for fucking, what was that contract that Geno signed? Or Sam Darnold? He ain't playing for that. Pittsburgh's going to have to pay that guy near $35 million. Okay? You're right. The Colts could do that. So there's 3 quarterbacks that play into the factor after Shedeur and after Cam Ward. Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Milroe, and Jackson Dart. And that makes that 32nd pick extremely valuable. Because here, like I said, shit, the Browns could do this. I don't know where the Browns are picking in the second round. Somebody look that up, where the Browns are. Browns take Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. They go down to 32 and take a rookie quarterback on a rookie deal at 32. And Kevin Stefanski's got a rookie down there at 32. I'm assuming that the Browns have the 33rd pick. Thank you, Kyle. So I get the 33rd pick. You get Travis Hunter. And you sign Jackson Dart. But we just signed Joe Flacco. He's 40 years old. What are we talking about here? And there's your succession plan moving off of Deshaun Watson for the next 3 years, 4 years, plus the option. Howie, in my opinion, I think the value is in the trade, not in the player. Don't you agree? That there's more value trading that pick now for next year's first-round draft choice than grabbing a kid from BC when I could get that kid in the second round. I could do this year. I could earn a first-round pick in the 2026 draft and get 2 first-round or 2 second-round picks, my pick, and a 33rd pick where I can address edge, DT, all in the second round, not first-round money, no fifth-year option. The value's in the trade. The value's not in the player. Again, unless, dude, I wouldn't mind them drafting Malachi Starks, James Pierce. If those guys were still there, James Pierce and Malachi Starks, I'd go like this. I'll take the kid. If you don't want to give me a 1, I'm going to draft the kid. Kenneth Grant, I don't think he'll be there. I mean, right? And I still think edge, DT, tight end, safety, corner, running back, O-line. I think those probably it'll wobble because of what's in front of the board, but you could change out DT and tight end in the second. Shit, you could put safety in the first round or in the third round. Corner, third round. I think they're going to draft a corner in the third round. If I were betting, they're going to trade. You're going to get an edge in the second. You're going to get a DT in the second. I think you're going to get a tight end in the second. You're going to trade one of those 5s to get a 2. And I think you're going to get another corner in either the third or the second. But I'm going to say third. And I think you draft a safety in the 4th, a running back in the 5th. And I think you'll load up on O-lineman the rest of the draft out, how many other picks you have. I think you're going to get both your DT and edge in the second round. Maybe they trade up with one of those. They're not using all of those round picks. And especially when you're loaded next year in the draft, you have 20 picks over the next 2 years. That ain't happening. The value's in the trade. It's not in the players. I don't see it. All right, guys, don't forget my good friends at Morgan & Morgan. There you go. Looks like this. Morgan & Morgan, baby. For the people, man. Over $26 billion recovered for their clients. Number 1 injury law firm in America with, like I said, almost $30 billion in recovery. Thousands of attorneys from coast to coast. Look what they're doing with the great folks in California and trying to get recovery for folks who ended up losing their homes. Look, this will be the easiest decision that you ever make. Do me a favor, please, and check out my great friends. If you've ever been injured at forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sales sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Heating up, ain't it? I think the Eagles' options are going to be pretty good down there at 32. And I'm not talking player option. I'll say it again to you here. I think the players between 15 and 50, same dudes. What's the value of me using a first-round pick on a kid I could get or I have the same grade on? What's the value of me taking, like I told you about the Will Howard, me taking Will Howard in the 3rd round? There's more upside for me in the 3rd round with Will Howard than there is for Jackson Dart or Jalen Milroe at 32 or 15. Why? I don't think those kids are that good. So you're saying you think that Will Howard is better? No, I think he's kind of in the same room with them. And at least he comes from the top flight program and he comes from winning and he just won a national title. I mean, Will Howard fits the MO of the Eagles. Constant winner on a championship roster, captain of a team. That's the perfect dude right there. That's an Eagle all over him. I'm not saying you're going to draft him. I'm saying to me, that's the same formula you use when you're talking about Jalen Hurts. Winner, great program, has been around winners, been around great coaching. You want me to take a dude like Jackson Dart, who kind of wins at Ole Miss. What culture? I like Lane. I do. I like Lane Johnson. I like Lane Kiffin. See, the quarterback, but get this, Abe. It's not the problem that you're going to pass. You can't pass. If you're Kellen Moore, you can't pass on a quarterback. You just moved off of Derek Carr, and you're in salary cap hell. What's that mean? You got to draft one. You got to draft a guy. You got to have somebody out there. You guys make sure you have a great weekend. For those of you out there, have a great Passover. We appreciate everybody. We're rolling towards the draft next week, man. This thing's going to really start picking up. I think that 32nd pick just got a little value with the Saints, especially with Kellen Moore being down there, and with the fact that you could make that trade that I projected on Wednesday. You get the 39th pick, you go to the New Orleans Saints, and you tell them you want a first-round pick next year. Shit, man, you might be picking in 26 in the top 5. That's where you are right now. You could end up in that boat. Have a great weekend. Big Joe, appreciate it. Xander, thank you. 2 to 6 on Monday. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on the flip side.